Greetings, everybody, and welcome live on this Saturday, December 8th. You know, I would start the video just when I'm about to sneeze. That's the story of my life, ladies and gentlemen. And the story of our lives for the next 3 hours is it's the Dave's Gone By Facebook Yo program of the stream.
There's more of an echo now, too, that you're...
Yeah.
There's an echo.
So let's start. The program, called Dave's Gone By. Like this.
Good morning.
There goes the Daverhood.
And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight.
There goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody, and welcome on this Saturday, December 8th, 2018, to the 676th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebook Yo program of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. So that's my darling, whom you cannot see, but she's here.
There are two people viewing, but only one person showed up.
I don't know why it works like that. So, and we have a lot more people viewing. It's a weird thing on Facebook. But welcome to Liza, who was instrumental
Eliza, oh, where have you been?
She was actually instrumental in setting up our guests last week, Lorraine and Tracy Newman. So that was kind of cool.
I was instrumental in setting up my guest in my week.
Oh, what guest was that? Oh, no.
I have no guest.
Yes, you do. You have Mrs. Bakbagak.
Mrs. Bakbagak is my GA. Oh, Stan, thank you.
Oh, Stan, thank you, Stan, for the big heart. Stan's with us almost every... My eyes are so red. Look at them.
Yeah, I told you.
Holy crap. What's up with that?
Dun. You gotta put in the eye drops.
I look like a Weimaraner.
God.
That's horrifying.
You want my sunglasses?
Yeah, I will look cool, but I won't be able to read anything. It's fine. But anyway, good morning, Stan. Good morning to Liza. Good morning to all of you for this episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebook Yo program of the stream, which is going to be really, really cool. We have another a fine guest for all of you. Let me try this. Ooh, I'm looking good. I like by a hair. I look like Dylan in the shades.
Mine are like $10 knockoff Ray-Bans, so you know.
I think they look all right.
Yeah.
And Art Paul, of course, is signing in, and Art Paul always signs in with some piece of new music that he's come up with. It's on YouTube. So I guess if you can see the comments just like I can.
Yes, they can.
Later on, you can, you can click on Art Paul's song and listen to it. But not right now, because you're listening to the show with me, Dave. Oh, somebody's giving me, I hope, a hearts or a thumbs up for the glasses, because otherwise my eyes look like that. Wow.
I don't have. Let me see if I have any of those.
I'm not doing drops. I don't like them.
Yes, I'm going to do it.
No, we're not doing eye drops. I will scream on and scare people.
We do it for the dog. We'll do it for you.
For the past 3 weeks, we've been dealing with our dog having a cornea problem thing.
Cornea ulcer.
An ulcerated cornea. So I've been doing like eye drops 3 times a day on the dog, which is not just one drop, but 3 different kinds of drops. It's been joyful.
Luck, I don't have any.
Oh.
Switch out. Give me those glasses. Put these on.
Okay, different pair of glasses. Here we go. Just till my eye gets a little less red.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You'll feel better.
Oh, these are good. These are all right.
Yeah, they're just a little tighter.
So, Art Paul is asking, hey, am I a movie star? Well, I'm a movie star after a long night in Hollywood. It's like, this is after binging.
You look like Billy Joel on that album. You know that album cover?
Yeah, because I do not want to look like... My dad looks like old Billy Joel, and I'm going to look like my dad. So I'm going to grow older and look like Billy Joel.
No, you don't.
Not like Springsteen, God forbid.
Could you not hunch?
Not
Your
like
neck
Sting.
is hunched. Your neck is hunched. You have hunch.
Anything else?
That's right.
All right, here we go.
And you have a foul body odor.
Oh, do I really?
No.
Oh, and Stan notices, because he watches every week.
Very good, Stan.
Where are all the potatoes? Well, it's
Wait, sing it.
Where have all the potatoes gone? No more ketchup. Where have all...
David, you know, the potatoes could use your mug. It would fit their tush.
Oh, wait, yes, they were. Yeah. But, yeah, Stan, no, you're good eye. because we've had potatoes all along the walls here and hanging down. But it is the end of the semester, so they got to clean the place, and I'm not even sure I'll have this office next time I'm back here. So basically, yeah, say goodbye to even these pals, because they've got to go. But I'll always have, a potato with me. Or two. Where's Papito? Oh, he's here. Papito's here with his little hat. Oh, gesundheit. And we have our noise machines. Oh, Papito. I'm sorry, Papito. I know Papito gets lonely. He misses all the older potatoes here. So, why, Daddy? Why? It's all right. They're in our house, back at home. Oh, Potato. Should have done this before we went on the air.
You should have told him the story that we should
have gotten them a sitter.
You should have done sunrise, sunset. Sunrise, sunset.
Is this the little spud I watered? I don't know.
He could fit in the mug too.
I can't remember growing tubers when. Well, somebody's happy about the potato thing.
Troy, I can't see the name. Tiela Joe.
Oh, Tony, of course, Tony. Yes, Tony, I want to get in touch with you and talk with you about stuff.
Tony.
So Stan and Tony and Liza and Art Paul, a lot of our
it's also brighter in here because of the white, so maybe that's why
it's more echoey because the potatoes are down. We had potato wallpaper up here, which you couldn't see. It was very, very cool.
It's very festive.
So it's a lot more of a spare location.
Sparse,
but it doesn't mean that we don't have it's not that we have a sparse show for you. You
should just install some stalls and some linoleum floor and someone with a mop bucket for your guest.
Oh, ew. Yeah, she's right, though. Because we do have an amazing guest, someone who's written a book that I could barely put down, and it's tough, because I only get to read at night in bed when I'm completely exhausted. So at 11:30, 12:30 at night, I pick up a book if I'm not just crashing immediately. So even then, I read a chapter and I'm like, all right, I better go. No, I'm going to read another chapter and another chapter after that. And the book that I'm talking about is the true story, the memoir, the autobiography, and it's actually the autobiography of only the first 30 years of our guest, because she had spoiled life.
Enough for that.
A woman named Romola Hodas. Here she is, Romola Hodas.
What does Romola mean?
It's a beautiful name, isn't it?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Sounds like a gypsy name.
Romola.
Romola Beethoven. Romola Beethoven.
Tell them more stuff.
Okay, tell the gypsies the news. Okay, so Romola Hodas wrote this book called The Princess of 42nd Street, Surviving My Childhood as the Daughter of Times Square's King of Porn. His name was Marty Hodas, and he was how do I put it? He went from being literally a collector of pennies from vending machines, from like cigarette machines and things like that.
Let me see them.
Went then into jukeboxes, and then decided, hey, he found these old machines. Well, let her tell the whole story, which she will to Rabbi Saul Solomon. But he eventually became the peep show king and did other stuff in Times Square and owned tons of the theaters there and the
Romanian.
Booths. Sorry?
Romanian.
And he started the live sex act trade there. And here she was, this little girl with a brother and a sister, trying to grow up normally, in Queens and Long Island while all this was going on. Unfortunately for her, the fortunate part was her dad was very charismatic and also made a ton of money, as you can imagine, during the 60s and 70s and 80s before, the video revolution killed the porn industry in Times Square, and Giuliani did too. So they lived very, very well and ostentatiously. The bad news is he was nuts, he was terribly abusive, and her mom was incredibly mentally ill. So she had the most miserable childhood you can imagine, but she survived.
I wonder, did her classmates know that her dad was like the king of porn, right? I wonder.
Well, when he started getting arrested, they sure did.
Oh, that's what I wonder.
She took shit for that. You gotta read the book. It's called The Princess of 42nd Street or Times Square. Princess of 42nd Street by Romola Hodas. If you're not sure yet, if you're like, it sounds unseemly and sleazy, and I don't want to read about this woman who is abused and believe me, you're going to want to hear her story. You're going to want to read the book. It's called The Princess of 42nd Street, and Romola Hodas we'll be talking to the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Saul Solomon on Dave's Gone By on this program. Also on this program, on between 9 and noon Mountain Time, or 11 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we go inside Broadway for the Rialto, for news of what's happening on Broadway, because I really care about Broadway and the theater. So count them, come on, count them. 1, 2, right? 2 Broadway shows opened last week. And both of them were big ones. One is about a really big star, a superstar in fact, and the other features a TV superstar. And so we're going to tell you what those are and how the critics thought of the Cher Show and Network, which both opened on Broadway, and a bunch of other Broadway news too. This is usually the time when nothing's happening on Broadway. It's December. It's between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and only tourists are coming, and yet there's all this cool Broadway news. It's kind of neat. So stay with us for Inside Broadway. Also, stay with us for our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. This is where we, for every week, I've been coming up with a poem, a short little poem about some town or city or hamlet or burg in Colorado. And of course, since it's a limerick, it's filthy and horrible. So today, and can't get better than this, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know what town in Colorado we're doing today, babe? For our Colorado
Brighton?
limerick? No, we did Brighton a week or two ago.
Tacona.
No.
What letter?
C.
Carbondale.
Oh, that's cool, but no.
But
I'll give you a hint.
Tushy?
What's another word for tushy? Well, that wouldn't be a C, would it?
But?
Crested Butte.
Oh,
It's going to be a crested,
I love
beautiful limerick, ladies and gentlemen, on our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. We will also have story time with a brand new story for you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as you know, if you've been watching the show, our last story times, our last couple, involved the color atlas of intestinal parasites, which was so much fun. But we thought we'd roll it back for the children again. And I found this in my files, in my archives. And, well, what else can we say about this?
With this.
Kind of, in a very different way. Very different sort of a booth for these two. It is the Ernie and Bert
Why is
book.
Bert wearing a pot on his head?
Well,
He
pot
doesn't
is
look
legal
happy.
now.
Yeah. Not everywhere.
So it's featuring Jim Henson's Sesame Street's Muppets. It's a golden super shape book. So they have all sorts of fun adventures because they're Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street. That'll be part of our story time. And do they go the Avenue
Tell them
Q
there's
route?
a kangaroo
There is a kangaroo?
and a cowboy hat.
Oh my goodness. There would be. Are there chaps? And are they assless?
No.
No. Okay.
The kangaroo is adorable.
Oh, good.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Where did you find this book?
story time. I got this years ago, and now we're going to do it. We're going to do it today. Oh boy, it's going to be so exciting.
I think it'll be interesting.
The Ernie and Bert book featuring the Muppets on Storytime. And then another
Those Muppets
segment.
get in on everything. They have a good agent.
Well, yeah, they
Are you
got
going to show them your gift?
there's a hand that manipulates them. Well, before we do that, we got one more item to do for later. And welcome to Fred. Hi, Fred, and welcome to Friendy too.
Hey, friendy.
We have another segment where I put myself a bit on the line, and I say, okay, I'm going to talk extemporaneously for 5 minutes or so about something. And I don't know beforehand what it's going to be. It's called Dave's Big Dick Dictionary. Here we go. My darling and adorable wife thumbs through a dictionary at random to find a word. And that word is what I will have to discuss
The
later.
word is called, it's the second derivation of the word fudge,
Oh,
and it means nonsense. A
really?
soft candy of milk, sugar, and butter flavoring. The first
Fudge.
is nonsense. That's the second derivation. And then fudge, the first one is to exceed the proper bounds of something, to cheat. To
Okay,
fail to come to
right.
grips with.
Yeah.
This one is nonsense. The second
derivation. Well, it's just a word. I can play with meanings.
Okay.
So on Dave's Big Dick Dictionary, I will be unpacking fudge, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, get this little fudge joke. Yeah. Speaking of fudge, Joyce, I didn't get you anything for Hanukkah.
You never get me anything for anything. I mean, let's be
Not
real.
true.
When's
Not
the last
true.
gift you got me that I didn't ask for? Never.
Well, no, I want to get you gifts that you ask for, that you want. You know, if you
You
see a
live
pair
with me 24/7. Don't you know what I want?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to get you jewelry because I don't really tell necessarily what you want. So if you find a pair of earrings or a little necklace, something that you like, I'm saying, okay, get it. It's on me, right?
Ow.
And what else? What else would I even buy you? Right?
Yes, present. What did I get you?
Well, what
Do
did
you want to
get me?
fix it up and put
This is
some
my
of your coffee
Hanukkah
in it?
gift from Joyce. This is a very beautiful thing. Ladies and gentlemen, and this is real, this exists. Don't show it yet. Do I want to show the box or just the thing?
It's up to you.
Let me open the box. Now, I don't get 8 presents for the 8 beautiful days
Did
of
I got
Hanukkah.
you the whole Dylan thing last year?
Well, that was like 3 years ago. But this, oh my. If I could just open it. That's what she said.
Childproof.
Here we go.
Here you go.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Be careful, don't break it.
the most magnificent gift ever. Here it is. For when I drink, I do have a cup of coffee every single morning. It is the original, as opposed to copies, toilet mug. I have drunk from this. I've drunk coffee with chocolate syrup and a little chocolate stick in it to really get the effect going. I should have lemonade in it as well. But here it is. It's the original toilet coffee mug from Big Mouth. Notice, drink from the bowl. Oh, we're getting thumbs up on this.
Who likes
People,
it?
Stan, of course.
Oh, Stan.
Drink right from the bowl. Here it is.
You could put a pepito in it. See if,
And notice there's a donut there, a chocolatey, fudgy donut.
and it looks like the bathroom tile, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's
So maybe
made
you
of
could
ceramic.
see if potato could use it.
Oh, well, we're going to give it a try. Is he going to drink from it or is he going to do something
And
else?
then he's gotta.
Hold on. Let him. Oh, he's got the sash over his mouth. Here we go, Potato. Potato's going to, like, tip it into your mouth there. Hey, we got to fill it with ketchup.
Okay.
So it would look like somebody bled.
No, don't do that yet.
Nom, nom.
Okay, potato, make. Go make. Potato, make. You gotta make.
Oh, hold on. He's gonna do what he has to do here.
He has to sit on it.
Oh, well, all right. Here he is.
What
Let's get him
about
properly.
Pepito?
Well, there's no room for both of them.
No, but Pepito could be next. He's done.
It doesn't really look like a bowl unless I tilt it this way.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh.
There goes the vodka. High-level comedy here on Dave's
What
Gone By.
about Pepito?
Wipe. Don't forget to wipe, Potato.
Wash his hands. So wash
Oh,
his hands.
yeah, gotta wash your hands. Hold on. There we go.
What about Pepito?
All right, well, Pepito will fall in.
That's okay.
He's gonna, well, are you kidding? Do you know what trauma that's going to ensue? Here, Pepito, sit nicely on the bowl. Ah! I'm getting a swirly!
Oh no, David!
Oh, no!
Oh my
Oh, God!
David, get him out of there! Get him
Oh,
out
pah, pah,
of
pah.
there! Stan said it's potato torture.
Oh, God!
Do you want me to put your coffee in the
Oh,
bowl?
shit! Literally!
Potato!
Pepito, don't use language like
Don't
that.
use the naughty word.
I'm covered with awful. I think it's awful.
Go sit, Potato.
Oh, go.
Do you want
go
me to
sit
put
down.
coffee in there for you?
Oh, I don't want to make it. It's going to be
Oh.
messy as heck. I got this, but this is for show. I'm afraid to use it because it's actually not
There's
plastic.
a little
This is
handle
real
with
ceramic.
plush, see?
So it's got a little flushy handle right there.
Yeah.
The toilet tank does not open. That would be the best. Can you imagine if you could put like little lime candies in here, like it's Tiggy Bowl? And let's see what else.
Oh my God, look what Stan said.
Stan says that is the potato's ultimate demise. You're showing that poor potato where he will end up after. You're showing that poor potato where he will end up after he is eaten. That's kind of cool. Well, thank you for my.
We need to
my
balance
Hanukkah
it out
gift.
with the Bert and Ernie because that's a little rough, yeah.
Yeah, that was sad. That was scary. And it's like, he feels like Romola Hodas now after her childhood. It's like,
Oh, she had a bad time, man.
no, I need therapy. No. Anywho.
Yeah, but she did well. She wrote a book. I mean, she's has a couple
well, people
companies
either
and organizations. Yeah,
yeah, well, people either get
get straight, get right.
you know, or they kill themselves, or they so
Good
you know.
for her. I'm glad that she got herself right.
Yeah, and it's a marvelous book, by the way. We'll be talking about Romola Hodas' book, The Princess of 42nd Street on Dave's Gone
Are we
By.
going to do Greeley Crimes in Old Times?
Oh, of course we're going to do Greeley Crimes in Old Times, and a Saturday segue of songs in the news. But what else, is there anything to talk about? We alas, speaking of Hanukkah, we skipped the lighting here at UNC.
Oh, yeah. No,
we missed it.
I walked past it. I saw the dozen of people.
Yeah.
I was walking back from the gym, and I just saw...
I give all credit, and I do honestly thank the president here, Andy Feinstein, who may or may not be Jewish, but I'm guessing is, for having this at UNC, the Hanukkah menorah lighting. They usually do it in town, in Greeley, usually in 4-degree weather right downtown. Here they actually brought it to UNC, and they made our new president the honorary person.
Yeah.
Except if you open the newspaper, he's not the guy lighting the candle.
No.
They had the dean of a different department, or the chair of a different department. He was the guy lighting it. And this is like a German guy. So they get a Nazi
No,
to go
don't
lighting the
say
candle.
that. Don't say
I'm
that.
kidding. Well,
Don't
you
say
know.
that.
I'm just saying, of all people, they find possibly our Jewish president, who is the honoree of the event, and then on the cover of the Greeley Tribune is like, wait, who's that guy? And then you discover, maybe on Ancestry.com he'll find out that he's 2% Jewish, like probably everybody in the world is. But, I kind of skipped it. The morale here at the university is not quite what it ought to be. So it's kind of sad when the front page of the Tribune said that dozens turned out for the menorah lighting. Not hundreds, not thousands, but dozens.
But this is it's endemic of social media that it doesn't matter. Like the joke we have is like, it doesn't matter what things look like. You just Snapchat, you get the Facebook photo, and then you move on, right? So it's not real. It doesn't matter what's real as long as it looks real in a photo that you post, right?
You're saying,
Yeah.
but you're saying there weren't even dozens.
No, but what I'm saying is like, it doesn't matter what the reality is, it's how it looks. So if you get a really good picture of something
I got a good picture.
and you post it, it doesn't matter.
Oh, I know. But I'm just saying, it's kind of, again, I appreciate UNC doing this and Chabad bringing it to UNC. But at the same time, people are so angry at the university right now that even Jewish people would be like, should I go to this? It's like, oh no, hell with this.
But also if you do something on the really toward the end of finals week, a lot of people check out. And this makes me mad. I'm teaching over 20 years, and it always makes me mad when people don't leave before final week and don't teach. We're mandated to do something during finals week, and you're supposed to, and people don't, and it makes me crazy. So a lot of people leave early. People are gone. So if people are gone, you have to do stuff for people.
Technically, during finals week, you're either supposed to be giving an exam, or if you're not giving an exam, you should add an extra week of teaching. Yeah. I can understand why professors would have to do that. Because then they don't first get to grade until today.
Can we? That's like my life in Sunday.
I know, it sucks.
Can we do something more happy?
Well, I'm trying to think what else happened. All right.
What else happened?
Well, I'm trying to. I've got a new roof. This is good.
That's old. That's happened.
Well, it was a week ago. Yeah.
Oh, what does Fred say? Oh, Wendy liked it.
Wendy. Why did Wendy go to the lighting? I guess was it near the library?
I don't know. Yeah, no, it was near the UC.
Okay. Well, I'm glad she liked it. I did miss the latkes. It's the one time of year I get to eat potato latkes. So I wanted that very badly.
Wait a second. What are you talking about? David, get one of them.
I didn't even, I'm sorry, potato, I didn't think. Sorry. I'm sorry, potato. I'm very, very sorry. I meant they make latkes out of tofu. It's not actual real potato. Yeah, right. Try another one. I know.
Oh no.
Oh boy, I'm in trouble now.
You're in big trouble.
All right, you're right. Maybe I should get to Greeley Crimes in Old Times.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Greeley Crimes in Old Times is courtesy of the Greeley Tribune newspaper, which has been around for, well over 100 years.
What about this?
What about what? No, say that. We're not doing that this week.
Oh my
God. Yes, we're not doing that this week. The Greeley Tribune, our local newspaper. So every week they do two different columns. One of them is called Cop Log, and it has to do with phone calls that come into the Greeley Police Department dispatch from people who think that they need help or they spot something wrong going on in town, and usually there's more going wrong in them.
Yes. But they stopped, it makes me sad because they stopped asking for a supervisor.
I
There was
know.
a whole year or two when people kept saying, I will speak to anybody, I'd like a supervisor, or they'd say, I'll speak to anybody but Officer Smith-Jones or whatever. Now it's just like, it's more generic,
That was like any old officer.
Yeah, they don't care.
Person have a badge, come on.
Yeah, they're like, hey, whatever, you know.
But the other one, and this is also very cool, is they do and Mike Peters does this, our friend of the Daverhood.
He was great. He was a great guest,
Yeah, he was a wonderful guest. 100 years ago. So he goes through the newspapers, literally back in 1918, and sees the weirdest, most nostalgic, funniest, oddest pieces that were actually in the newspaper back then, and reminds us all what they were. So it's a mix of those phone calls of Cop Log and 100 years ago. We call it Greeley Crimes and Old Times, and the theme song goes just a little bit like so. Yes, Greeley Crimes and Old Times, ladies and gentlemen, here on this December 8th, 2018.
David, I'm going to take the candy.
Greeley, Colorado.
Candy in that bag.
All right, have a candy if you want. So, what we do is we mix them up. And you have to kind of also figure out whether it's old or new. But they're pretty obvious, actually. Are you ready, babe?
Do you know how old or new your candies are?
I have a bag of candy that they're probably pretty new because I was giving them to the students.
I just want a Hershey.
So they won't
Do
be
you
any
want
more
one?
than like 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
Cool.
That's good.
Here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Where's my phone? Hold on. Where's my dude?
Oh, you need the telephone noise.
Where is it? Oh,
It's gotta be on one of these,
sorry,
yeah.
this, yeah.
A mom.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. She requested a welfare check on her 3 and 4-year-old children who live with their father's parents.
Uh-oh.
No, not a check from welfare. A
No,
check on
welfare
them.
check means
Yeah.
the health and wellness to
Right.
see how they're doing, yeah.
The mom said she hadn't seen the parents in a week, and she called them, quote, shady people and Sons of Anarchy wannabes.
We
did this one last week. I just realized that. Oh, well. Sorry about that. Kind of a little deja vu there. Now, a caller reported a woman with no teeth came into the State Farm on 10th Street. Well, she wouldn't need insurance, would she? And she, quote, made a scene. She took a bunch of calendars and candy before leaving.
What are you talking about?
And you know what the worst part is? Her deductible jumped to $6,000 at that
Wow.
point. Yeah, there you go.
I thought you were allowed to take calendars and candy.
Of course
Aren't
you
they
are,
free gifts?
But if you're a homeless person running
Yeah,
around
but
with
why?
no teeth...
Maybe you need. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why she has no teeth.
Well, I always wonder, like, when you have a bank that gives away candy or something,
Yeah.
why not just walk in and out and keep getting enough food so they have lunch?
Back in Queens, the guard regulates how many calendars you could take. You could take one at
Oh,
a
they
time.
do that? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because back in the day, they may still do this. In Long Island, growing up with my folks, you could go into a bank and they have a Jewish calendar. And I'm not kidding. They would have the calendar with all the Jewish holidays on it and the candle lighting times.
Wow.
And you get it free. It was cool. Or they'd send it to you. And we always want to get like 3 or 4 to put them up where we needed them all over the house. Because you never know when you might have to light a candle in the upstairs bathroom.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Actually, considering the farts I make, you should light a candle in the upstairs bathroom. But anywho...
You should do what do you call the candle for the dead?
Oh, God. That's right. When you need to light Kaddish,
Is it
and
called?
you're not in the kitchen...
What's the candle called? Mazur? The candle has a name.
Oh,
The candle for the dead.
Not a Havdalah. It's a
I'll look it up.
yard site. Yard site
Yard
candle.
site. You
Yeah.
should do a yard site. For all the food that has died.
No, but that was the funny part. The people who did the absolute best calendars were the Jewish funeral homes. So all over the house we got Jewish funeral home calendars.
Where should we-
Sundown 5:38.
Where should we bury so and so? Let's look.
Absolutely true story, folks. Let's see. Oh my goodness, honey, this is very important. You want to hold him or her?
Okay.
Here, hold your ears. Chicken alert! Chicken alert! Oh, goodness gracious. It's time for Chicken Alert, ladies and gentlemen. Police are having chicken problems again, aren't we all? People are allowing their chickens to run loose in Greeley, and neighbors have become so angry, fights have started. Police said the chickens must be kept in pens, or the owners will find themselves in court. Oh, there's a chicken fight, which is a little different from a cockfight, which hurt my groin for weeks, actually. Oh, now, all right, Mrs. Bogbagok. Oh, hey! I'm not gonna... Let's see, I was sucking on it. Wait, no. Now put that down. Ew. I don't know where that beak has been. You literally had it going under the tooth of my caps.
Under the tooth of my caps.
Or what are these things? When they put in fake teeth. What is that? No, what are they? Crowns? What are those things?
Can I have my glasses?
Oh, yeah. What are those called? Well, a bridge.
Yes.
Into the bridge in my mouth there. Like a bridge, touching chicken germs. Okay, here we go. Almost all of the great wars in history have started in April, said an historian. This is from 100 years ago in the newspaper. In April. Which, I mean, this is written, remember, before World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and everything else. That's probably changed.
I would think so.
Which proves that mere man would rather go to war than have to participate in spring house cleaning.
Oh, God.
Oh. So droll. So droll they were 100 years ago. Let's see what else. A man, there wasn't a new cop log this week. That's why I'm down to the Betty Harpers on these. A man called to report hearing another man say he was going to kidnap him tonight. The caller said he owes the man money, and the man threatens to shoot him, quote, all the time.
Oh, my God.
The caller called police back to say now the man was trying to kidnap him again, saying he's in the train right now. He said that the man who's trying to kill him is doing it telepathically.
Wait, we need it. Wait.
Here we go. And he said the officers were there and that they were very nice.
Okie dokie.
They're trying to assassinate him with their minds.
I told you, that's my favorite Ice-T quote.
My
lethal weapon's my mind.
That's true. No, Ice-T's lethal weapon is actually his wallet at this point. He could buy and sell this university, yeah.
I think his wife is worked for, what's-her-face's, your guest Romola's dad.
The wife?
She was a hoo-hoo-hoo dancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So was I. Weren't we all?
You weren't a stripper dancer.
Of course I was. Why do you think I have that old torn underwear in my drawer? Just in case I have to go back. If things go really sour here.
But you wouldn't touch the pole. You wouldn't touch anything because it's dirty.
I wouldn't touch another man's pole, but I would do other things. I don't know what that means. If I would throw my back out, I would twerk.
Oh, God.
One cheek. I wouldn't do both cheeks. I'd be going too far. I would feel used. But
you
one cheek.
You can't even twerk.
No, I can't. No, I'm saying one cheek I could do. Like shake it up and down a little bit. What else can I do?
It would be like a chicken cutlet.
I could do pasties and sparklers on my nippies. Wouldn't I look cute?
No. Can we move forward?
You brought it up. You started it. Here we go.
I didn't start the fire.
Following many complaints from Fort Morgan residents, a man was charged this week for skinning 5 skunks in his yard.
Oh, God.
Officials said the stench was unbearable, and they ordered the hunter to skin the skunks out of town. He was also fined $10. The hunter said that's okay. Know why?
Why?
Because he gets $25 per skunk hide.
What does someone do with a skunk hide?
Oh, I imagine they can turn it into a very nice... I've never petted a skunk, but I imagine the fur is very nice and you make a nice skunk coat if you get the stench
But they're so small. You'd have to be small.
Well, that's why you get $25 a hide.
Oh, because they're so
Because, you got to put... and a coat is going to be...
yeah.
I mean, how big are rabbits? And how big are mink?
Oh, God, you're depressing me.
In fact, all those coats, mink stole, I don't know what ermine is.
Oh.
But all those coats are made from little bitty little animals. So I guess so. Anywho, what is a chinchilla? Is it a chinchilla, little teeny ass thing?
I don't know. I want to ask what they do with skunk coats. Read the next one.
Okay. Oh, honey. Oh, this is very important. Well, hold your ears.
Well, another chicken.
That's another chicken alert.
Oh my god.
Oh, why do I do this? Okay, here we go.
Oh, you're strange.
Another chicken alert for this Saturday, December 8th, 2018. Greeley chicken owners provide a box half full of rose dust or tree ashes for your chickens to take a dust bath.
Oh, I like that. My chickens do like to take a dust bath.
Well, you know why?
My chickens love dust bathing.
Why is it good?
Because it gets the lice off their feathers.
How did you know that?
Because I'm smart!
No, how did you know it? I would never.
Because chickens have lice, and if you're itchy, you take a dust bath. It's like talcum powder.
It keeps them free from lice and mites and also
It's
gives
like
them
a talcum
exercise.
powder. It's like talcum
But
powder.
how would you think of that?
Because I'm smart.
Wow. I never. Would you have done that, people watching at home? That you're going to roll around in dust and that'll kill lice? So why wouldn't it occur? Why don't they just do that to children then when they get lice?
Because children have the lice kind of cling on their hairs.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. No, that's why my pubes have been itching. Anywho.
God.
We're doing Greeley crimes in old times, ladies and gentlemen, here in the Daverhood on the 676th edition.
There ain't nobody here but his chicken.
Of Dave's Gone By. Wait, is it 676 or 667? Hold on.
I don't know. It's probably 676, I would think.
Yeah, where's my... yeah, it's 676. Here we go.
Of course.
On the second Saturday of December in 2018, right here from Greeley, Colorado, I'm Dave Lefkowitz. That's my darling and adorable wife, Joyce.
Look at my little bun. I want to...
I beg your pardon. Look at your buns? What?
No, my bun. Is my bun showing in the...
Yeah, there it is. Oh, it's very cute. Yay.
I like that.
All right, here we go. Give me something to grab onto later. Oh! Ow, 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 ow. Here we go. Professors at Colorado State Agricultural College in Fort Collins.
That's CSU, yeah.
That's what they turned
Yeah,
into?
they were an ag so they're an ag college, yeah.
So we were the normal school.
Yes.
Go figure. And what
And we were
we're
teachers
teaching, right?
teachers college.
They were the ag college.
Yeah. That's why they're called the Aggies, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Is that their thing? I thought they had a different mascot.
They're the Rams, but
Yeah.
I think an Aggie is something.
I thought the Aggies was a much bigger football-y school somewhere else, weren't they? Well, anyway. Oh, wait. That's kind of cool. Anyway, the former CSU, the Agricultural College in Fort Collins, they've warned milk drinkers across the state that some milks are tainted by bacteria. Here we go. I may say, not that anybody would need to be told this, but don't drink milk that has changed to the colors red, blue, yellow, or brown.
Very good.
Unless you're drinking from this, ladies and gentlemen.
That's very educational.
Yeah. Would you,
I mean, how does it get red or blue? I see.
the bacteria turns at weird colors. Yeah, I would say brown milk, but I drink that all the time. It's called chocolate milk. But red milk?
Blue?
Blue milk. Well, isn't milk really blue? Like if it's before it comes out of the titty?
No, you're thinking of blood.
No. No, you ever notice that like milk has a bluish tint? Really? I don't know if they add food coloring to it to make it more white looking. But doesn't milk sort of on the blue spectrum a little bit?
I'll look it up.
No, don't worry about it. I'll look it up later.
We're engaged in this milk coloring.
Anywho.
This chair is bad. It's hurting my back.
That's my chair.
Yeah,
That's the chair I always
lunges
use.
Forward.
Yeah. Let's go elsewhere, because we're doing Greeley crimes at all times, but every once in a while we throw in something from somewhere else. We go further afield from northern Colorado, and let's go all the way, a couple of 100 miles, to Salt Lake City, Utah, for a story from the Associated Press. Stan made a joke asking why I was just busy choking the chicken. There you go. Because I'm going to get some blue milk out of me. If you don't have blue milk, how can you make blue waffles? Ew. Actually, they do that. On St. Patrick's Day and stuff, doesn't IHOP do like green waffles and shit? I'm like,
no, pancakes.
Don't do that.
They do green bagels. They do green everything.
Yeah, no.
Green milkshakes at McDonald's.
Yeah, do not do that. Do not like that. Do not want that.
People are silly.
Purple, on the other hand. Anywho, in Utah, a Utah man has been charged with sexual assault and kidnapping, speaking of Romola Hodas' book, after authorities say, during an argument, he hammered a tool resembling an ice pick through another man's penis.
What?
Yeah, there you go.
Is this old times?
No.
Okay.
This was not a thing in the newspaper 100 years ago.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, dick assault. No, this is recent. A 45-year-old man named Jason D. Maughan appeared in court on Wednesday, like a week ago.
Oh, my God.
On charges that he allegedly put a gun to the victim's head and handcuffed him to a chair. The victim told police he was given a choice: be killed in the desert or have a nail driven into his penis.
What?
That's quite a choice. Sophie's choice was kind of bad. She had to decide one kid she really loved, another kid she loved a bit, but, it was ultimately, choose that one. He's got more prospects growing up. Fine. She made her choice. But death versus nail gun in pecker. Okay. I'd still be sitting in that chair wondering,
wow.
Give me another minute. Can I make a phone call? The day after, the victim was let out of handcuffs and ran to the hospital.
No kidding. Note
that the men lived together, and this is being described as a case of, quote, domestic violence.
Is he okay?
That's all.
What's the boy's name?
Well, he's okay. I got a nail gun through his dick.
No, but maybe,
He lived till the next day to run to the hospital.
People are sadistic.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sadistic.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, did you use your word fudge yet?
No, I'm trying to make all sorts of fudge when this was happening. Lemonade and fudge. Milk, lemonade. This is how the brown milk is made.
No, but the fudge one I gave you is different.
Oh, well, the fudge was what, to change something to...
Nonsense.
Nonsense.
Fudge.
Oh, fudge. Yeah, because I use that all the time.
Maybe when he was being assaulted, that's what he said.
I'm sure that is what he said. Like, fudge! And the problem is he was working on an old computer. Now he's got to use a Mac because they broke his wang. No, but that's funny right there.
I never had a wang.
No, neither did I. It was all. It was an office machine. People didn't have those at home. Those were ones who had...
I remember the Wang Chung song.
Everybody, get your dick stapled tonight.
Oh, God.
We're doing Greeley Crimes at all times, ladies and gentlemen. A woman reported that she saw a man put a handful of something into her yard on 14th Avenue.
Probably dog poop.
She said she looked and couldn't see anything, so she thought it was invisible toxic powder. Because the invisible stuff is the most lethal, ladies and gentlemen.
Invisible toxic powder? How can it be invisible?
Well, if people could see it, we could gather it up before.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, officers were unable to locate any invisible toxic powder. What are we paying their taxes for?
I don't understand. Didn't we just buy that invisible toxic powder screener?
Yes, we did. Shark Tank, a guy said there's a thing that will pick it right up.
You can get it on QVC for $9.99.
It's a toxic powder vacuum.
Yes.
In invisible and visible modes.
No, it's an invisible vacuum.
Oh, it's invisible.
Here, I'm giving you one. Here's your Hanukkah gift here.
A vacuum cleaner? That sucks. Thank you very much.
You said my phone. My phone was.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, a little bit more of Greeley crimes in old times. There's been so little crime on Greeley streets lately. Night police officers are appearing to become lazy. This is what they were writing 100 years ago. Maybe that's why quotas started. Like when people make fun of cops for not giving, they're out just giving tickets because they make a quota.
Yeah.
There's probably times when there was so little crime, it looked like the cops were just letting things go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure.
So maybe they're just like, well, you've got to give some tickets because, just law of averages, people are speeding, they're jaywalking and stuff. I don't know. Anyway.
They weren't doing enough racial profiling. You have to increase your racial profile.
Well, 100 years ago, it's like, well, you're white.
No, but they were very
not as white.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, you have brown eyes.
Yeah.
That's close enough to Negro. Let's get you.
Yeah, a lot of racial profiling.
If women want to succeed in life, this is of course from 100 years ago, it's necessary for them to marry and raise children. The best years of the mind come after the children have been raised.
That's actually true, though, developmentally.
What do they mean then? What do you think
I would
this
think
means?
that after experience, like once you get older, like for me, when you're younger, you can do math, you can do those things, and quick memory. But as you get older, you have more integrative power of thinking.
Yeah, but they're talking about very specifically having kids and then raising them and getting rid of them. Yeah. So. To me, it's like, so you spend 18 years in misery raising a brat, and then it feels so good when they leave. Like hanging your set with a
I think
head and a
that's what
hammer.
your parents said after 30 years.
Yeah, right.
How long did you live at home?
Till I'm, except for one period when I was rooming in New York going to college, all my life, up until I was about 33. And then I met you, dear, and you cut my apron strings and pulled me
you shacked up with me
half a mile away from Mom and Daddy.
You lived with me in Queens for a long time.
We didn't really live. I shacked up there a lot, as it were. Back when we were boinking like bunnies, that was fun. But then. But then when I finally cut the apron strings on, Mommy, I'm getting married. I met the girl of my dream. I love her. And then we moved half a mile away.
That's right. Oh,
we still never saw them, but we lived half a mile away.
We're very reclusive. Don't you think we're reclusive?
Oh, me? I would sit in my room 22 hours a day and just sleep, work.
In your own filth, yeah.
I love my own filth.
You do.
There's nothing more I love than my own filth.
That's true.
It's a beautiful thing.
You like other people's filth, too.
You know what? No matter what goes into or out of this toilet, it will never match what's in my underpants right now. I'm telling you. Don't even know what that means. I don't even know. You start. You always start it.
I don't start anything.
There we go.
Unless I'm holding in a wee.
Complaints of shooting have been coming from the Glenmere Park area.
Whoa.
Older boys are bringing their handguns to skate. And they're shooting the ice as they skim over the lake.
Cool.
Police will be at the lake to convince them that guns... What are they going to tell these kids?
Yeah.
These older boys?
Guns are bad.
No.
Guns are for killing animals.
No.
Guns are for shooting, I don't know.
Guns are to be used in other parts of town.
Oh, good.
Not, hey, 16-year-old boy, really shouldn't be touching a gun. You can really hurt yourself. You can hurt others. And it's like, no. Don't use the guns here in Glenmere Park. There's, go to East Greeley, shoot them there. But it's kind of a cool thing. I like this idea of, it didn't occur to me why they would shoot and fire guns into the ice. But I wonder if you're like on ice skates.
Oh,
boom.
Yes. It's like, like a Power
Like
Ranger.
propulsion. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yes.
Wow. Well, the thing is, if you skate back over it, you're going to get tripped up because there's now a hole in the ice.
Yeah. It limits the amount of skating you can do.
And if you've ever been kicked in the ice hole, you know how hard that can be. Let you know, just kidding. The ice hole. Ah! Okay. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, and not a moment too soon, people are looking for a fellow with a strange sense of humor. There we go. And by the way, speaking of senses of humor, Stan wrote, "Man, Dave, you made me spit my coffee on my computer screen again. My wife just told me no more coffee during the show."
Aww.
Stan, you need to put your coffee in here so you can spit it right back in here. Yeah, that's what you got to do. Well, thank you, Stan, by the way. They're looking for a stranger with a strange sense of humor. He has been hiring men in Greeley to dig graves at the Lynn Grove Cemetery. But when they arrive at the graveyard, the superintendent tells them they already have several grave diggers. Ew. I don't know.
Let's see.
I don't dig that story. Ooh, yeah. Some of our stories are lovely. This one is shovely. Yes, shovel is a... Yeah. Well, at least that story was interesting.
I can dig it.
Oh, yeah. At least we dig up the dirt here, ladies and gentlemen, on Dave's Gone By. And that, my friends, It's a short one because they didn't do cop log this week.
What do you want from me?
They didn't do cop log. Get on this thing.
Somebody's on vacation, probably.
Greeley Tribune, I'm going to cancel my free subscription to your.
But somebody's probably on vacation. don't you think?
Probably, yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's Joe Moylan who does it. Joe, come on. I know there's some crime around here, but this is important. You got to do this. Greeley crimes at all times.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Thank you, Groucho. And thank you to all of you for watching the Dave's Gone By Facebook program of the stream live here on this Saturday, December 8th, 2018. We're calling this episode OLA Coaster because our guest in the Daverhood is going to be, where's her book? Got some stuff here. Romola Hodas, author of The Princess of 42nd Street, her book about surviving my childhood as the daughter of Times Square's king of porn, Marty Hodas. That's him right here. Let me give a close-up of this very, very messed up human being. If we can use that word. Oh, actually, we never said that. She co-wrote it with a friend named Elizabeth Ridley. You've got to give her credit, too. It's an absolute page-turner book, and you can get it on Amazon from Riverdale Avenue Books. Here's the back cover. It's RiverdaleAvenueBooks.com. If you're not sure if you want to read it or whether you want to hear her story, oh boy, just stay tuned, because in about, 45 minutes from now, we will have Romola Hodas in the Daverhood talking to the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Saul Solomon. Where's his head covering? Here it is. Happy Hanukkah, Rabbi Saul. So there's that. There will also be a Saturday Segue of songs in the news. We will also have Dave's Big Dick Dictionary, where I'll be saying something about the word fudge, either in terms of nonsense, or I might take it further afield and talk about the actual candy, or using it as a replacement for an epithet. Who knows? We'll see. I'll be talking fudge later in... I'll be unpacking fudge later in the show. We'll have story time. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yes, and you know that guy, the two guys who were living together, and one drove a nail gun through the other one's penis? I'm just saying. It's gotta be, Ernie! Oh, Bert, I aim wrong. Anywho, don't even know where I'm going with that. What else? So we have, of course, a Colorado Limerick of the Damned from Crested, Butte, and and we will be going inside Broadway for news of the theater. I'm going to be very excited about that because 2 Broadway shows opened this past week, and we're going to let you know what the critics thought of them. So kind of big stuff here on Dave's Gone By. If you want to contact me, obviously, as I've been reading these comments here, you can get to me either during the show or later on just by messaging me here on Facebook. Radio Dave Lefkowitz is the Facebook page. And again, you can post here, and if I get a chance or if I see them, I'll read them during the show, or if not, later on. But you can post all week to my Facebook page, Radio Dave Lefkowitz. You can also email me, davesgoneby@aol.com. Remember, it's Dave, like my name, davesgoneby@aol.com. I don't know if I respond to every email, but I certainly read them, and I appreciate it. What do I say?
David Greeley was no fool.
Oh, no fool. That's my darling. Thank you, my darling, adorable wife, Joyce, for joining me in the first part.
Will you come pick me up later?
You'll tell me when. Yeah.
Okay.
So when and where, you'll tell me. Because we'll go at 1.
Yeah, what time do you want me to...
Well, we'll leave at 1.
Okay, in the front?
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Do you want to take Potato with you? Come on, take Potato to your office, please.
No, he doesn't want to go.
He's scared now. The Papito fell in the toilet.
Yeah, but there's nobody else there.
Oh, well, that's the thing. Well, Papito, here, let Papito hang with you. Come on.
No, Potato.
Mommy, please. I'm scared.
No.
Please. Ah! Okay. Oh.
All of your animals scream like Bert.
They kind of do, don't they? Anywho, are you ready for some Broadway, babe? Ooh, she's tickling my tummy. Oh. Want some Broadway, babe?
What am I looking for?
I don't know. What are you looking for, hon?
What am I looking for?
Peace of mind, reason to live.
No, I've given those
a job outside this university, anything?
I've given up a lot of them.
Tell me about it.
Where's the other sunglasses here? I only have one.
Oh, crap. Are they still on the table here? Hold on, we have a sunglass missing
It's
alert.
okay. No, I have one.
Yeah, but I was wearing two before.
Here's something. Wait, hold on.
Okay. I wear my sunglasses at night.
If you find a pair, just let me know.
Of course, obviously, I'll
Just
bring
let
them.
me text you to save the time we're leaving.
Yeah, okay.
1 o'clock?
Yeah, I'll pick you up at 1 o'clock.
Okay, I'm going to
And
say
then
1
we're off.
o'clock in the front.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen,
You do your show.
it's 3 minutes to 10 Mountain Time, 3 minutes to noon Eastern Time, which means it's time to talk theater, it's time to get theatrical as we go inside Broadway! Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. She's tickling me. I got my Christmas goose early.
What do you call those things?
My hips?
No, the little pocket.
My love, not my love handles. Those are on the front.
Is it your kishke?
My kishkas. She's tickling my kishkas, ladies and gentlemen, as they would say in the old country.
What old country is that, Brooklyn?
Lawrence, Long Island, right? Anyway, inside.
You live in Lawrence, Long Island?
Well, Romola did. Well, we live close, yeah. We're Hewlett and Woodmere and Cedarhursty people, to an extent.
I don't live any of those places.
Well, we lived in Hewlett momentarily. Hey, wait a minute, we lived in Hewlett for 10 years. What are you talking about?
Where's
Anywho.
my hat? Where's my
I don't know, where's your hat? Oh, look. Even though you rejected him,
Yeah.
Pepito is going to let you have his hat.
No, I haven't.
Look how cute.
Ow, that hurts my face.
You can actually see the top of your head on the camera. Oh no. Mommy, you can wear it. You look very pretty, Janet. Oh. Just careful, you get hat hair. All right.
I already have hat.
2 of your hairs will be affected by that hat.
I look terrible, but that's...
No, you don't. Okay. Inside Broadway we go on this Saturday, December 8th, for News of the Rialto. For example, guess who is going to be coming back to Broadway after
Neil Patrick Harris.
a couple of decades. No, that'd be
Angela
great.
Lansbury?
No, but you're closer with her.
Cheetah Rivera?
No. Good guesses, though.
Carol Channing?
No.
The ghost of Carol Channing?
No, our friend of the Daverhood, Carol Channing, is still alive, thank God. Who? Oddly enough, she's been...
Oh, wait. Oh, Fudge.
I'll give you a clue. She was on Columbo, and she flirted with him mercilessly.
Oh.
Even though she turned out to be a lesbian.
No, that was her daughter. It wasn't... In the show, it was her daughter.
Oh,
yeah, the Italian one was her daughter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, who am I talking about then?
Oh, my God. Not Faye Dunaway.
Yes, Faye Dunaway.
Whoa.
Faye Dunaway coming back to Broadway.
She's a beautiful lady. Okay, my love. I'm going to go.
Love you too.
Reading awaits. Oh, ow.
Are you okay?
I fell back on myself.
Notice I'm not even getting out of my chair to help my wife, because this is more important. My wife is there, she's broken an ankle. It's like, be well, hon, I'll get you at 1
I think
o'clock.
that's some ligament injury.
Oh, that's okay. Love you.
Am I zipped?
I'll put some liniment on your ligament. Yeah, you're all zipped.
I'm going to take some of your coffee. I need a sip.
Have a sip of coffee.
Thank you.
Love you, sweetie. So, Faye Dunaway is going to be in the solo play Tea at 5. And as famous as Faye Dunaway is, she's going to be playing someone even...
Tea's at 3. You should have tea at 3 in England.
Well, not... here's another one for you then. What even more famous actress will Faye Dunaway be impersonating in this play, Tea at 5?
Joan Crawford.
No, but...
The Queen?
No. Closer with Crawford. Actress. You second. You almost second.
Hemingway?
Oh, no. Female.
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm losing it.
She's going to be playing Katharine Hepburn.
Oh, Hepburn, yeah.
In Tea at 5.
I think that's lovely, darling. I shall see you later. I texted you our details.
You know, I saw Katharine Hepburn late in life. She was no great shakes. Oh, just kidding. Oh.
That's in poor taste.
Yeah, well, McDonald's has great shakes. Anyway, so, Matthew Lombardo's play, it's going to be coming to Broadway. They haven't announced a theater yet, and they haven't announced even the actual dates, but they know in summer of 2019, John Tillinger will direct Faye Dunaway And now, you know, Faye Dunaway has done a lot of Broadway. We think of her as a movie actress, of course. She was in Network and Bonnie and Clyde, but she was a cast replacement back in 1961 in the great play A Man for All Seasons. She was in the debut of the Arthur Miller play After the Fall, which was about, shall we say, loosely about his relationship with Marilyn Monroe. And she did a bunch of shows in 1964 before Hollywood called. And then she was last on Broadway in 1982 in a play called The Curse of an Aching Heart. So yeah, Faye Dunaway. And, granted, she's going to be alone on stage. It's a solo show about her playing Katharine Hepburn, but I do not envy her dresser or her stage manager, considering her reputation. We'll see if she behaves on Broadway, and if she gets the cue cards right, as opposed to what happened at the Oscars a year or two ago. Anyway, it's Christmas in hell. It's Christmas. No offense to these guys, but if I were going to hell and had to spend Christmas time there, it would be with Reuben, what the hell is it, Clay Aiken and Reuben Studdard. Well, they've teamed up together, and they're doing a holiday show on Broadway. It's called and I'm not making this up, this is a great title, Reuben and Clay's first annual Christmas Carol Family Fun Pageant Spectacular Reunion Show. That's the name. Come on, that's cute. And that is what the name of the show is, because they're being reunited, really for the first time since 2003, when they were both on American Idol together. And I do believe that Studdard beat Clay Aiken. Aiken was like a runner-up or something like that. And now they became friends, and they're doing a Broadway, how shall we say this, a holiday review entertainment together. It started on Friday at the Imperial Theater on West 45th Street, and it opens this coming Tuesday, December 11th, for a run just through the end of the year, through December 30th. So if you want to see, two of my favorite people, Reuben Studdard and Clay Aiken, doing their annual Christmas Carol Family Fun Pageant Spectacular Reunion Show, get your tickets now. And then I will say this. Some of the proceeds of the show are going to something called the Inclusion Project, which funds kids with disabilities. So, it's a nice cause kind of thing, too. Okay, hey, we're going to be passing the torch, ladies and gentlemen, or at least Torch will be passing the revival of Torch Song, the Harvey Fierstein play that actually was 3 different one-act plays many, many years ago called Torch Song Trilogy. He kind of pushed them together, cut out some stuff to make a it always was one evening, but he made it a more humane 3.5 hour instead of 4.5 hour evening called Torch Song on Broadway. Well, that show, it got okay reviews, the revival did. The grosses, the receipts have not been wonderful, so they're going to be closing it a little bit early. It's going to be closing, I do believe, January 6th, where it was supposed to run until February. I didn't write that down. Yeah, January 6th is the day of doom for Broadway shows, because check this out. On that same day, Torch Song will be closing, Head Over Heels, the musical, is closing, Once on This Island closing, The Play That Goes Wrong is closing, and Torch Song. There's 5 different Broadway shows on the same day. That is not terribly unusual, because what they do is shows stay open through the holidays, because they figure, especially musicals, they're going to get a bunch of people, bunch of tourists, bunch of families coming to the theater, and then comes the big drop-off, because, winter really sets in, people aren't being touristy in Manhattan, kids have to go back to school, so they make this chunk of money over Thanksgiving and then in through the Christmas holidays. So that's why January 6th pops up right after New Year's. Things just go away. So one of those will be Torch Song. It's going to close about a month early. It stars Michael Urie, Mercedes Rule, and it's the tale of a drag queen dealing with his partner and his mom and various other entanglements and relationships. I saw it off-Broadway before they moved it, this revival, this iteration, and I was like, okay, it's a well-written piece. Didn't really affect me in any way, and so that's kind of, I think, how a lot of the critics felt, even if they felt really nostalgic about it, because it goes all the way back to 1979, when Harvey Fierstein, the author, was doing it himself. So, and I remember seeing Harvey do it years ago on Broadway, and it was the Harvey show. Nobody'd seen him before. No, he wasn't so ubiquitous on TV and in other roles and just being Harvey. Back then it was like, what is this? Who is this person? And that made the show. And some good writing made it too. Now you have Michael Urie, who is perfectly good, but I don't know. I got kind of tired of spending time and worrying about his little life and his relationships and problems raising a son, but or shall we say, a fosterish kind of situation with this kid, or is that kid actually his lover, or the lines blurred? I didn't care. But if you want to know, if you want to care, Torch Song is playing up until January 6th on Broadway. Hey, and I want to give a thank you to Routledge Press for sending me a copy of a book that I just started reading and am enjoying very much. So I'm going to show you a copy. Because, see, I get free swag, and then I show it on here, and, everybody wins. It's called Payola, ladies and gentlemen. So I got this book from Routledge Press. Great looking book, too. The Birth of Modern Theatre, Rivalry, Riots, and Romance in the Age of Garrick. So it's about London theatre in the 1800s into the 1900s, and that kind of how it turned into the modern theatre that we have today, both in the West End and in New York. And just, I read some of the first chapter last night, and it was already like really gripping stuff, because they're talking about this horrible man named, where is he? It was Macklin, this Irish actor on the London stage, who ended up killing a guy. He got mad at the guy and put a thing through his eyeball, and the guy died. And meanwhile, Macklin is tremendously important in terms of modern acting, before the method and all that, of taking Shakespeare out of the realm of being and making it a more human, like non-Sarah Bernhardt kind of Shakespeare. So already in the first few pages, I'm totally hooked. So thank you to Routledge Press again, the name of the book, The Birth of Modern Theatre. I will say, because I wouldn't say it's a semi-academic book, but it does have notes and stuff, and all of this is very well researched. But like all textbooks nowadays, they make the print just perfect for older people like me not to be able to read too well without glasses. Why the hell? Why? You can't use like Times New Roman 12 or Arial 11 or something. No, it's got to be like scripty 9.5, where I'm like, yeah. I mean, once you're reading it and you got the glasses on, it's fine. But I'm so tired. Newspapers and magazines. I pick up Rolling Stone. I pick up, what is it? We get still New York Magazine. Time Magazine is a little better, actually, but it's like New York Magazine. I'm trying to look through it on the toilet, and I need glasses on the toilet. I don't want glasses on my toilet. I just want coffee in it. So stop doing that. I know you're trying to make it as economical as you can with the cost of newsprint and magazine print, but Jesus, if you want or if you want an older audience to keep reading, anybody over 40, make it readable. Anywho, what else? Oh, speaking of something that is readable, you're going to want to get a copy of Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway, and has been since 1944. This is where people in the theater industry and the entertainment industry turn for information about every single show on, off, and off Broadway. Don't believe me? Don't believe me? Just watch. Here we go. Here's the second page. It's already got a guide to the Broadway season, including all the shows that are currently playing, as well as ones that are about to open in the weeks and months ahead. It's got a little map of the Broadway district, and a table of contents, of course. We move to the next page. The press agents, the folks who are handling the shows, how you get in touch with them. Here are all the theaters on Broadway. What shows are in them? Is the theater owned by Joe Jamson or Niederlander or other people? How many seats do the theaters have? And when are shows opening and scheduled to close there? When are the theaters available? What are in all the Broadway theaters? And when are they starting previews, opening, and closing? All on one page. And we do the exact same thing for off and off Broadway as well, which is pretty spectacular. You don't get this anywhere else, of all the shows currently playing, and then starting previews on December 1st, opening December 1st, closing the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th chronologically. Is that the whole magazine? No, my friends, it is not. we then go into the guide. The guide of every single show on Broadway. Look at all that information. All the people involved and how to contact them. All the producers, the press agents, the stage managers, the theater that it's in, the location, the opening and closing dates, and then, of course, all these actors, directors, designers, the synopsis of the show. And remember, not just for one or two shows, the big shows on Broadway, but every single show currently playing on Broadway, every show that's going to be opening on Broadway, and then, amazingly enough, and you don't even get this in our big rival magazine, which I'm not going to mention. You will. Here are the shows that are upcoming on Broadway, and then off and off Broadway as well. Nowhere else do you find such comprehensive listings of every show playing in New York. Here, I was looking for this. Guide to off and off Broadway shows. So let's move this in real close. There's a show called The Apple Boys, a barbershop quartet, a musical. Where's that playing? Let me hold that over. It's at here. Over on 6th Avenue. God, I haven't been there in years. Jonathan Lyons wrote it. There's his contact information. It's choreographed by this person, musical director, lighting director, plot. Every single show. It's an amazing resource. It's got an index in the back. It's Performing Arts Insider. And you can get it by going to performingartsinsider.com. Now, it's a journal. It's not like a $2 magazine you get on the newsstands. And even those magazines are $4 or $5 now. But this one, yeah. People pay a lot for Performing Arts Insider, but they know that it's worth it. They renew year after year because it's the only place to get this great information. If you only get a single copy, it's on sale at the Drama Book Shop and also Theater Circle in New York, or you can still buy a single copy by mail. Just go to Performing Arts Insider for all the details. And I also want to remind you that Performing Arts Insider is put out by the Total Theater Company, and they have a website that is absolutely free. So this costs, the website is free, and you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of theater reviews and interviews and articles all there for your entertainment and for your research. So there's a really cool, we put up a couple of articles just a day or two ago of the American Theater Critics Association, to which I belong. They have their annual meeting very often in New York. They have a mini meeting in Manhattan where they see a bunch of shows and have panels. Well, a fellow named Charles Giuliano went to these panels and he wrote about them. And he's going to tell you what they were talking about. A lot of them were about diversity in theater and how to make that work. So if you want to read that article, it's on totaltheater.com. We also have reviews of a lot of the new Broadway shows like King Kong, like Head Over Heels. It's all at totaltheater.com. Do check that out. Well, speaking of the theater and getting back to the theater, we're doing Inside Broadway, and as I mentioned, a couple of Broadway shows opened a couple of days ago. On Thursday at the Belasco Theater, it is Network. Remember, we were talking about Faye Dunaway before? This was one of the movies that made her a real major star. She was already kind of a big star by then. But this solidified it. Network, they've made it into a play. It's been adapted by Lee Hall, who did the book for Billy Elliot, adapting the screenplay by Patty Chayefsky, directed by Ivo Van Hove, that enfant terrible of modern theater, and starring, and this is the big news, Bryan Cranston. He's in the Peter Finch role of Howard Beale. So Bryan Cranston starring in Network alongside Tatiana Maslany in the Dunaway role, and Tony Goldwyn. So, here's the story you know. It's about this newscaster who's about to get fired. He's old, and then he just loses it. He goes on TV and starts ranting and raving, and people tune in. People are excited by this. It's like he's mad as hell, and he's not going to take it anymore. So now, what do they do with him? With this unexpected TV star, who, also things get a little out of control, and there's also romances going back and forth as well. Well, so here's what the Broadway critics thought of Network, which opened 3 nights ago on Broadway. Greg Evans, writing for Deadline.com, said that Bryan Cranston is absolutely blistering. Not only does he make us forget Peter Finch, he even makes us forget Walter White, of course, from Cranston's old classic TV show Breaking Bad. In other respects, the play is a letdown. The other actors are good, but they can't make lightning strike twice, as Dunaway and company did in the movie. But boy, oh boy, Cranston is just on fire. And really, every critic down the line said this is a major, monster performance by Bryan Cranston. Joe Demanowitz of the New York Post, our friend of the Daverhood, he gave the whole show only 2.5 stars. He said if only the rest of the show were half as good as the mesmerizing Bryan Cranston. The other stars are miscast and bland. The playwright fails to rustle up any resonance or fresh insights from the material, which he says should be incredibly relevant given the fake news era that we're living in, the tweet storm era that we're living in, and hashtag era. He was pretty disappointed. Not disappointed, though, was Barbara Schuler of Newsday. She said it's an electric staging. It can be tough to follow, all the frenetic activity, and it can get preachy. But it also comes at you in, quote, a thrilling blaze of politically charged hyperactivity. And Ben Brantley of the New York Times, he said, you've got to go. He said it's a churning, immersive stage adaptation, and of course, the great Bryan Cranston is matched by the thrill of all the technology around him. Unfortunately, we have zero interest in the secondary romance between Goldwyn and Maslany, but it doesn't matter. It's about Bryan Cranston and all the machines and all the technology and all the Ivo Van Hove staging around him. Roma Torrey kind of agreed. She is from New York One, has been for years and years. Bryan Cranston's performance ranks among the best I've ever seen on a live stage. It will go down as legendary, she says. But through a combination of miscasting and lopsided writing, the others pale by comparison. Still, the material can be harrowing and offers a cleansing moment of clarity. So she saw more to the script than I guess it was Joe Demanowitz did. But anyway, God, I hope they let me in to see this when I get back to New York. It's Bryan Cranston in Network on Broadway. Well, speaking of shows opening on Broadway, believe it or not, there's another show about to open in New York this week, this coming Thursday, December 13th at the Schubert Theater. Another surprisingly highly anticipated play, another adaptation. It's To Kill a Mockingbird. Yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, it's been adapted into a play before. In fact, Christopher Sergel's version has been done in community theater and regionally for years and years. But no, they got Aaron Sorkin to re-adapt To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, Sorkin, you know, he wrote A Few Good Men, The Farnsworth Invention on Broadway. He wrote the screenplay for The Social Network. So, yeah, he's one of the best writers that we have. He was entrusted with adapting Harper Lee's novel, To Kill a Mockingbird, into a new Broadway drama. And there was some drama behind the scenes, because the estate of Harper Lee was terribly worried about how certain things would be represented, and would he be true, not to the movie, the greatest movie of all time, in my opinion, but to the book, and to the characters, and to Harper Lee. And so they wrangled, and the lawyers got involved, and finally, it's there. And so far, the scuttlebutt is it's pretty damn good. We'll find out this coming week when To Kill a Mockingbird opens on Broadway at the Schubert Theater. Well, speaking of shows that opened, it's Cher and Cher alike, ladies and gentlemen. For Cher fans, a show opened for them this past Monday, December 3rd, at Broadway's Neil Simon Theater. With a book by Rick Elise and direction by Jason Moore, they tell the story of Cher Bono Ullman Cherkini. I don't remember what her original name was. But anyway, they tell her story using 3 different actresses at different stages of her life, including Teal Wicks, Michaela Diamond, and Stephanie J. Block, who really apparently, if you listen to all the critics, really brings the show home and carries the show. So, Cher is actually one of the producers of the musical, so it can be a little hagiographic. It tried out in Chicago at the Oriental Theater this summer. Now it is on Broadway at the Neil Simon Theater. How did it fare amongst the critics? Well, Greg Evans of Deadline.com, he said it won't disappoint Cher fans. It doesn't push any boundaries either. It is superior to the Holier Than Thou Summer, the Donna Summer musical that we talk about that our friend LaChanze is in, and it's a bit less sanitized than A Night with Janis Joplin. The Cher show still can't be bothered with new ideas. For example, multiple actresses play the title star, check. IMDb deep bio, check. Songs shoehorned as dialogue, sounded like concert performances, Vegas-level production, dance floor lights, check, 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 check. It's as skimpy as a Bob Mackie dress. But he still kinda liked it. Variety did not. Frank Rizzo said that he liked Stephanie J. Block, and he also liked Jarrett Spector, who plays Sonny Bono, and Emily Skinner playing Cher's mother. But the show keeps genuine emotion at arm's length, and the tone veers from playfully self-aware to broad comedy to melodrama, and obviously veering as opposed to gliding is not necessarily what you want in a libretto for a show. Robert Hoffler, writing for The Wrap, he agreed. He said Stephanie J. Block may be the best impersonator on Broadway, and she exudes genuine maternal warmth without losing her sass or swagger. But the show is as much fun as watching old network TV. Lame jokes, segues between scenes are blunt or non-existent, and there's a general lack of inventiveness that pervades the entire enterprise. However, David Rooney, writing for The Hollywood Reporter, said the quasi-interior dialogue between the three Chers is often quite affecting, and Cher being a producer on the show lends a personal investment that carries us through the rough patches and choppy storytelling. Is the show good? Not in the sense of traditional musical theater craft. Would I see it again? Duh, already planning on it. I had a blast. So that's David Rooney for The Hollywood Reporter writing about the Cher Show. Jesse Green of the New York Times, our friend of the Daverhood, Jesse Green, not quite so much. A maddening mishmash, he says. He loved Bob Mackey's eye-popping outfits. And of course, Bob Mackey was doing the costumes for Cher back in the day, as he did for Carol Burnett on her show as well. But he said the show is all gesture and no craft, dramatically threadbare, surprisingly unrevealing, and the backstory is handled with the subtlety of a backhoe. Well, dude, it's a musical. Joe Domanowitz of the New York Post, he kind of liked it. He gave it a B grade, which is, positive. Granted, there's clumsy and dopey dialogue, but it's thrilling to watch the wall-to-wall hits. Stephanie J. Block gives the season's first must-see star turn, gleaming sets, dynamic lights, and traffic-stopping costumes. And finally, Alexa Solosky, writing for The Guardian in the United Kingdom, gave it 3 stars out of 5. Exuberant, occasionally tacky, jukebox musical, she called it. The book is heavy on exposition and bad jokes. Sound like my kind of book. The songs are slotted in as punctuation, and the best numbers often remind you of the lack of imagination elsewhere. Still, 3 out of 5 stars. So up and down all the way around for the Cher Show. Nobody found it really brutal and impossible to sit through, but certainly problems with it. If you're a Cher fan, I imagine you're gonna go. But anyway, that's the Cher Show. It's playing on Broadway at the Neil Simon Theater. Now, before we leave inside Broadway for this Saturday, December 8th, 2018, gotta say a fond Broadway farewell to a very fine actor and a ubiquitous Broadway actor. When I was reviewing shows from the late 1980s through, up until I moved to Colorado, he would pop up every year, sometimes 2 or 3 times a year in shows. The great Philip Bosco, who died this past Monday at the age of 88 after a few years battling dementia. He was born back in 1930 in Jersey City, New Jersey, to a carnival worker, and his mom was a crossing guard. He went to the Army and then came out, and he started in arena stage in Washington, D.C., I think that is. His first Tony nomination came back in 1960, and then he was nominated again last time in 2004 for 12 Angry Men. In between, he won 1 Tony for Lend Me a Tenor. Now, usually I don't like George Bernard Shaw. He bores me, but Bosco did a ton of Shaw on Broadway, and he was really good at it. He was in The Devil's Disciple, Major Barbara, Heartbreak House. And I do have a Philip Bosco story. I think I met him once or twice in my attending Outer Critics Circle and Drama Desk dues, but the best part was I was appearing in a community theater production of Yentl in New York. Not Yentl, the musical Barbra Streisand thing, or the musical that Jill Sabula is adapting, but Yentl, the pre-Streisand version of the play that was written by Joseph Stein, one of the people who wrote Fiddler on the Roof. And Joseph Stein actually came to our community theater production in New York to see Yentl, which was pretty damn cool. And unfortunately, I did not play Yentl, and I didn't play her boyfriend either. No, I had a bunch of small roles all throughout the show, and it was fun, but playing that production, they went to a costume shop to get all these different garb for these people in 19th century Russia. And I had this big, heavy coat for one of my scenes, almost more like a suit jacket than coat. And when I put it on, and I took it off one time, and I looked in the back around where the collar is, and sewn in was the name Philip Bosco. So this was a piece of material. This was a garment that was worn by Philip Bosco on Broadway. And it just made me feel so like I'm in the acting profession for this moment. I know I'm here in this little synagogue on East 80-something Street in New York doing Yentl with a bunch of people, including myself, who'll never be heard from again. But there's Joseph Stein singing in the audience, and I'm wearing Philip Bosco's coat. Felt pretty damn good, I gotta tell you. Let's see. Other things about Philip Bosco. He's survived by his wife of 57 years, as well as 3 sons and 4 daughters. Good Catholic there. Other Broadway roles included, can you believe he replaced Raul Julia in that celebrated 1976 Threepenny Opera. He also was in King Mutiny Court Martial and in that marvelous play Copenhagen in the year 2000. Bosco told the Times in 1981, quote, the only real way to learn to be an actor is to act. All the theory is meaningless unless you really do it. You gotta get out there, man. You gotta jump in the pool. And he did it over and over and over again. He never got the big starring role, and that was always sort of a disappointment to him. He had no trouble, making a living and feeding his family, and you saw him a zillion times on Law and Order, and he bit roles here and there. He just never became a household name. And, considering his talent and his very particular look, he could have. But hey, not a bad life in the theater for Philip Bosco. As a matter of fact, let's play just a little piece of that show that I mentioned, Copenhagen. They did a pretty good movie of it, too. If you've never read it or seen it, go rent the movie. You'd be surprised. It's actually really, really good stuff. Copenhagen, here he is with Michael Comsty, the late Michael Comsty, and Blair Brown from the 2000 Broadway cast, just a moment or so, in a rather stilted but still interesting audio performance that they put on CD of Copenhagen. Here's Philip Bosco.
And suddenly, a very different and very terrible new world begins to take shape.
Thank you, Philip Bosco, for all those wonderful years of theater. And now, that was Inside Broadway on Dave's Gone By. It is exactly 10:30 in the morning Mountain Time here in Greeley, Colorado at the University of Northern Colorado. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. We have so much more to do in this Facebookio program of The Stream, which, by the way, is brought to you by Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett, Long Island. Yes, they've been with us since the very first show, and they still are. Here they are. I've been using this flyer for so many years now. Minuteman Press, still right in the heart of Hewlett, Long Island, across the street from that big new Petco, and 2.5 blocks from the Long Island Railroad Station. But here's the deal. If you want quality copy work done, be it one-sided black and white, or color, 3-color, 4-color, full color, if you want your name silk-screened on, say, a yarmulke, or on a piece of clothing or a uniform, if you want your logo on a calendar, or perhaps a ceramic toilet, or anything, flyers, banners, Hewlett Minuteman Press can get that done for you. So, give them a call, 516-569-5577, area code 516-569-5577. They're open 5.5 days a week. So they're already closed today, but they'll be back open Monday morning at 8:30 for any copy job, binding, printing job that you've got. They're also known for holiday cards and wedding invitations. Hewlett Minuteman, and if you tell them Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small. So give them a call, 516-569-5577. Hewlett Minuteman Press, they are the copy kings. And as always, I feel king of the world when I do this Facebookio show of the stream every Saturday from 9 until noon Mountain Time here in Greeley. We're doing our 676th episode of Dave's Gone By. It's called OLA Coaster, because our guest in the Daverhood is the author of this book, The Princess of 42nd Street, and she's talking to this guy, Rabbi Sal Solomon, and she's doing it right now on the Dave's Gone By show.
Hello, my name is Romola Hodas. I'm a public speaker. I'm an author. My book has just been published, The Princess of 42nd Street, Surviving My Childhood as the Daughter of Times Square's King of Porn. And I am speaking with Rabbi Sal Solomon on Dave's Gone By. Happy Hanukkah, everyone.
Oh, shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sal Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And, you know, I love getting on this radio program, Dave's Gone By, and talking to people who deal with things that I love, like music and theater and literature, and today, even better, pornography. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, here is someone who did not make pornography, but grew up in a world of it, and also, oh my God, she suffered terrible abuse, mental abuse from her parents. She has a story to tell. Hopefully, there will be funny things intersprinkled in there, or else we're all going to cut our wrists in 20 minutes. But until then, please join me in welcoming to the Daverhood a public speaker and the author of a new book called The Princess of 42nd Street, put out by Riverdale Avenue Press. It's all about her life growing up as the daughter of the King of Porn on 42nd Street. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Romola Hodas. Shalom, Romola.
Hello there. You should be my manager.
I know I should be. I don't know if anybody can manage you, because you're kind of you're a tough chick. You had to learn to be tough in this world. Is this true?
Yes. I chose to learn to be tough in this world. You know, it was a conscious decision.
Well, all my decisions are basically unconscious and filtered through me through Hashem. But we'll talk about that. Let's talk first about you. You've written a memoir, and it's a memoir of that where a lot of negative and bad things happened to. So the first question is, before we get into what they were, was it cathartic writing this book? Was it painful, or did you almost go outside your body like a novelist writing about somebody else?
This was one of the hardest things I've ever done, and I never realized it was going to be so hard.
That's what she said.
When I was younger, I was kind of like detached, because when you're going through a lot of trauma, you're kind of detached from your feelings a lot. So now I'm more healed, and writing the book was very, very hard going over all that stuff. So no, and lots of people ask me that question, and no, it wasn't cathartic. It was hard.
I mean, even finishing it, you did not feel a sense of, aha, now I can really put my early life behind me? You know, because everybody thinks, oh, well, you've written the book, and then you said the end, it's published, it's out there, and you feel great. And a lot of people tell me, no, it's still a process.
Well, it's, you know, I had been in and out of therapy since I'm like 13. You know, I worked through a lot of this stuff, and I, you know, went to courses and did a lot of stuff to learn to forgive my parents and whatnot. So writing this book was just dredging up all that stuff again, but I did want people to know who made 42nd Street. You know, I wanted people to know that history, and I also wanted people to know that I made a conscious decision to be happy in this life, and that's kind of like my message. It just doesn't, so much easy to be miserable. You don't have to do anything.
Well, you are Jewish. You are, I am Jewish. It's so easy to be miserable. I can't tell you.
Yeah. Right. It takes some effort to figure out who you want to be, what kind of character you want, you know, and then create that for yourself. It's hard, you know, it's challenging, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So writing this book, it's not over. I'm out there now doing public speaking, doing interviews. So, it's far from over.
That's true. Now, let's roll it back. Let's actually tell the story of the book, and we'll start with 42nd Street itself, which people look at it now, you can't move, there's tourists everywhere, there's every other block is a Starbucks, it's like, But back in the day, in the 60s and 70s, it was a sewer, a cute sewer, but it was still, everything was an X-rated theater, it was junkies, it was prostitutes on the street, basically like Newark on a Saturday night. So your dad was not only entrenched in all this, but he was, as they say, the king of all this. So tell the story basically of your father going from a guy collecting pennies to the king.
Okay, so Dad had a pinball, jukebox, and cigarette machine route. And he had some of those cigarette machines in a few stores on 42nd Street. So when he was coming back from New Jersey on his route, he had to go to the bathroom, and he stopped at an arcade. And downstairs in the bathroom, where the bathroom was, there was 15 old peep show machines that you put like Popeye in. They were like kind of as big as a small refrigerator, and you'd put your eyes up to it like you were looking through what are those, binoculars kind of.
Yeah.
So he said, oh my God, what happens if I take those machines and put like girly movies in there? He bought the machines, and he got some films, and he went around 42nd Street, and everybody said to him, don't you think if this was legal, it would be happening? So my father went to find out. He got a lawyer and whatnot, and lo and behold, you did not need a license to have girly show movies in these bookstores. So I'll never forget, the first store was 259 West 42nd Street. Dad put 2 of those things in there, and at the end of the night, he gets a call, Marty, the machines are broken, they can't put any more quarters in it, you have to come down. So my father goes into the city, takes all the quarters out, and, he comes home and he's like, there were like 200 people in line waiting to see. I'm sure there was like, 20, my dad. But, so that's really how it started with those 2 machines. And then, the rest of the street or whatever started, they took the rest of the 15 machines. My dad called the arcade and said, I want more. The arcade man said they don't make them. Dad looked on the back of the machine to see the manufacturer, called the manufacturer, I can't remember if it's Kentucky or Tennessee. The guy said, I don't make them anymore. He said, I want 50. He goes, when do you want them? And my father, went to Kentucky or Tennessee, I can't forget, and brought back, the 50 machines.
And he sprinkled them all over town.
Oh, that's how it happened.
Yeah. Now, this makes your dad sound like a real plucky American success story entrepreneur. Going from these vending machines to jukeboxes and then to, all right, peep show, girly show things. Makes him sound like, oh, boy, if you don't mind the sex aspect of it, he sounds like someone to admire. And to an extent, for a period of your growing up, you loved him beyond anything, and he was the sweetest dad around. And then you hit puberty.
Yeah. First of all, my father kind of was a success story. Not only did he do the peep shows, but then he invented a better, what would you call it? A better area to watch the peep show. It was like a closet. You could go in and have privacy. Then he invented the live sex acts and the dancing girls. And then he started to do his own movie. So he was a big conglomerate, And yes, for the first 8 years of my life, my father was like my hero. And my mother was a genius artist and musician, but she was also bipolar and personality disorder and violent and mean and frightening. And, Dad used to protect me from certain things, like when she wanted me beaten because I didn't listen to her. He would, take me upstairs and take off his belt and, hit my bed. Scream, taught me how to fly. Me and my sister would lie on our bellies. Practice, put your hands up, you're going to be flying soon. He was great. And then when I turned 8, I remember this day like yesterday. I was 8 years old, and I was going to school, and I was wearing a dress, and he looks up at me, and he goes, how do you walk out of the house? And this was before he was in that industry, okay?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, this was before that, because So, and he goes, how do you walk out of the house looking like you do? And I'm like, what? He goes, look at your fat ass. You must be the fattest girl in school. And I was like, what, Daddy? Don't you tell me you're not the fattest. You've got to be the fattest girl. And I ran out of the house saying, fat ass? What does he mean? And from then on, he would, come home on certain nights and chase me around the house, pick me up like a sack of potatoes, put me on a scale that he kept by the table where we ate. If I gained any weight, he would beat me up, make me sit at the table.
Well, he would physically...
Sit at the table, wash the dishes, go up to bed without food.
Did he physically beat you up, or was it just verbally?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. At least, at some point that kind of stopped because I would fight him. Hey, what are you, crazy? But at some point, maybe like 3 years later, but he was very, very, he called me Fat Molly. He never called me Romola. And he, you were always like, what are you, an imbecilic moron? How could you be so stupid? It was constant criticizing and degradation. If I bring home, a report card with A's on it, he'd throw it at me. What do you think? You're better than other people? And he was unfortunately crazy, just like my mother. I had to protect the kids. My two younger sisters and brother from my mother and father.
But at what point?
Start coming home. Go ahead.
You said when you were 8 years old, something. I mean, can you pinpoint what made him mentally, or was it drugs at that point? What changed his personality?
I don't know. I think that my father had his own issues with weight. And I think that he just put that all out on me for some reason. My father, to be in the business that my father was in, dealing with mobsters and making pornography and drugs and everything, you have to be a bit psychotic. You have to be able to shut off whatever you don't want to deal with. And my father could do that, and he was also,
and he was married to a crazy
got a little chubby, and he was freaking out. And I remember when I was about 13, and we were having it was Hanukkah or Thanksgiving. I don't remember which one. And my father and I were sitting at the dining room table. He asked me some question. He goes, "Boy, you really have a low self-esteem." And I just was like, what the F do you think after you doing bop? And he was like, oh, I thought I was helping you.
Oh, Gaval.
He said, that's how you thought you were helping me, by beating me up and not letting me call me. So he was nuts. My father was nuts. And he was also the life of the party. And everybody loved him. And he was, but he was nuts.
Now, here's kind of an interesting, happier sort of a thing, is that you're talking about being the life of the party and having guests and friends and a big, very beautiful house. He, at this point, was living very, very close to where the producer of this Facebookio program of the stream, Dave, has lived, because Dave used to live in Hewlett, Long Island, and your dad, he was in Malvern and then in Lawrence,
yes.
Of all things, in beautiful Jewish Lawrence, Long Island, and he would not only give these lavish parties in an early version of a McMansion, but he'd have orgies there, essentially.
Yeah. And that was one thing. It's like, you want to live that life and you're an adult? Okay, but why have your 4 children home watching, waitresses breastfeeding kittens and people snorting cocaine and running all over the house nude and people having sex in my brother's bed? I'm like, why? And that's when I really started to develop some hate for my parents. It's like, you're that insane? You're that nuts that you don't know? Oh, we're going to have this party. We better get the kids out of the house.
Was there ever a point when you went to a next-door neighbor and said, help, or I need to get out of here, or call a cop, or you know, not basically from the parties, but when he's being abusive.
Neighbor was at the party.
Yeah. Huh.
You know, and and it was, you're a young kid, so you're like, it's all topsy-turvy. It's like, aren't these people supposed to be protecting me? I'm the adult in the house. It was like it was hard. It was hard those years because were they that insane that they didn't realize what they were doing? Evidently. What parent would do that? You want to go do that? I remember that, I don't remember. I always forget the name of all these famous porno guys. That one really, Jeremy,
Ron Jeremy. Jewish, by the way. Ron Jeremy, Jew. Yeah.
I know. And they would be coming to my house.
Literally.
And they would be, like, doing all this stuff to entertain my parents' friends. And I remember one time I was outside, and there were like two couples doing all, and I started to walk to them because my mother was standing there at the other side of the pool in shock. She just didn't, and I looked at her, and I started to go over to them, and I was going to say, get the F out of my mother's house. And one of my parents' friends came over to me and said, Romola, and I said, I don't want to say, Mrs. Leibowitz, do you see my mother? Romola, go in the house. You know your father. How is it, Romola, you shouldn't be here, go in the house? And I remember going and sitting on the staircase saying, this is my life? This is my life that I have to, see all this? It was, and then finding out, when I wrote my book, I was talking to some of my siblings, and I thought I did a good job of shielding them. When I said to my sister, Risa, do you remember? She goes, oh, yeah, I remember the kitten was black. I'm like, oh, my God, you saw that. And my brother would see all these things. My brother was like 8 years old to be seeing all this stuff.
Now, did it see at the point where I've been reading? I haven't had a chance to finish the book, even though it's a hell of a page turner.
Thank you.
But I've been reading, and I haven't gotten to the point of you and your brother and your sister, did it mess you up sexually? Because it seems like you had a pretty normal sex life and romantic sort of life.
I did.
How? How does that not fuck you
up?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, because, and I know with my younger sister, it messed her up. And anyway, my mother, when they first moved to Lawrence, I think the first 2 years before all the crazy parties started, my and her illness was a little better because, here she had this big house, this big mansion, she was decorating, she was in a manner where she was, mostly happy. So Wednesday nights, my mother and father would have a party amongst themselves in the big den. And my mother would come down in her Fredericks peignoir and her fluffy slippers and her nails done and her, her Barbara Eden wig and smelling of Taboo perfume. And my mom and dad would play Scrabble. And they would play strip Scrabble.
I didn't realize it was strip Scrabble. I thought it was just regular Scrabble with Hebrew tiles or something. Oh, no, okay.
Yeah. So always they had vodka and caviar. And, my mother was very open about, sexy was fine, and sex is wonderful, but you need to love someone. The first man that I had sex with, I was with him for a year. Mm-hmm. I had waited for him to tell me he loved me, so I just, that was a very wonderful experience to me.
Yeah, that was the way back then. When my mother
found out that I was having sex with Joey, she took me to the gynecologist, and she said, okay, this is what we do, and she got me on the pill. I mean, she was great about it, wonderful about it. So I've had, thankfully, a very, very happy, healthy, fun sex life.
And it should be noted that as miserable as both your parents could be, and as brutal as both your father and mother could be, you were never sexually abused. You were physically and verbally abused.
Dad
But
was never. There was not an inkling of that. Not one iota, any of us. So that's something to be happy about, right?
Now, let me also ask about your dad, because he went from, as we've been saying, he went from just the little peep show things to the machines to all that, and then essentially creating pornography. Did he just produce? Was he a director? Did he make any movies that people have seen but won't admit?
Make movies for him.
Oh, so he was a producer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he had.
Well, did he do was he on the famous ones like Deep Throat or Green Door or any of those? Or
I don't believe that. No. They were all just for his peep shows. He never.
Oh, he never did a feature. He never got into, the.
Well, some of those peep shows were small little movies, but nothing famous. He never did Deep Throat or anything like that.
Right. No, but Peep Show, you keep saying Peep Show is almost like it's going to be a 45-second loop of something as opposed to a movie or a scene or something like that.
Well, that years ago, there were in the machines you could have shorter movies, but the movies that were 8-track, those were a lot of them were 45-minute movies.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, like did not know that, because I'm thinking in terms of the movies that you would see on those old marquees in Taxi Driver, with De Niro and the pictures of New York in 1977. So there were mid-sized movies. They just weren't the ones that were up there on the marquee. But here's a question then: did the video era destroy your father's business on some level? What happened after that era?
When it went, first of all, what destroyed Dad was Giuliani, getting rid of all of the peep show places. I mean, Show World, funny, just closed in April. Playgrounds is still there, but my father had like 300 stores. Some of them he was renting to the mob, but so that really affected it, because certainly now online, where women are having cameras in their beds and people can just pay through credit cards and they can do all this stuff for a man in his the privacy of his home, and being able to see it on the internet. My father didn't have the vision, although my brother, who unfortunately was working for him and my brother-in-law had said, Marty, we need to create a website. And, my father didn't know what the hell that meant. And, if he had, my father was in a way very cheap. He wouldn't even think of, what? I'm going to hire somebody to make this website. That would have been the smart thing to do. But that he wasn't going to put his money into.
When did your father die?
My dad died 4 years ago.
It was only because you're talking about websites, and my head is still back in 1989 when people really wouldn't have thought about doing all that. So did he salt away enough money from what he made back in the heyday that you and the children are all protected and you've got a nest egg and stuff?
Well, he left us stuff. He left us money, but certainly not what you'd think, because he had a second wife who was a goddamn horror. Just a horror. Here I was thinking, maybe we'd finally have a mother figure. Well, she was into cocaine and drinking, and she just wanted all of his money. If my father gave us $5, you're taking my money. Arlene, there's plenty of money for everyone. So she got a lot of my father's money. She made sure that she spent a lot of that money. And when my brother hurt himself, she didn't even want my father to help him. She's a horror.
Well, can I ask,
horrible woman. I mean,
what happened to your birth? Sorry, what happened?
ahead.
What happened to your birth mom? We kind of left her hanging. Is she
well,
gone?
My mother divorced my father the second time he was in jail. I think I was around 33, 30, or 29. I don't remember all the dates, and he was devastated because no matter how crazy my mother was, my father loved her like crazy. But she couldn't handle him. He was abusive to all of us, really. Her too.
And is she alive? Is she or not?
She what?
Is she alive?
No, she died in 2004.
Oh, okay. I was just curious about that. So, and then he remarried, and he married this horrible woman. Is Arlene still alive? Gewalt.
How do you know the name Arlene?
Because you just said it.
Oh, shit. Yes, unfortunately she is. In my book I call her Andrea, but...
Oh, yeah, all right. Well, you can use a last name. Yeah.
And I really want somebody to, mail a book to her.
Well, you could if you could, you know.
Yeah, I could.
So here's the other deal. Before the death of your birth mom and before the death of your dad, was there ever you said you've stood up for yourself all through the years and you protected but was there ever this moment where you really, maybe not physically, but you just laced into them when you were a grown-up and they were already old and useless?
Well, with my father, many, many times, really horrible fights with my father, many times. And I'll never forget, needless to say, I'm not a big fat slob, but I certainly have some issues with my weight and with the way that I look. It's a hell of a lot better. But I had lost 20 pounds. And it was the holidays or whatever, and I came over to my father's place in Queens in the North Shore Tower. I walk in and he goes, "Oh my God, you look emaciated." And I just got up. I don't know what kind of language I can use on this show, but I got up and I said, "You, who the hell, you fat pornographer, don't you ever say anything about my body again. And he stood there with his eyes open. And I said, "Never, ever, ever do you say one thing unless it's, hey, you look gorgeous, you fat fucking pornographer." I was freaking out. And, with my mother, my mother had gone, my mother was insane.
Well, yeah.
When you were there, she was living in her, she was agoraphobic for 30 years. She never went out of the house, rarely, to a doctor's appointment or if one of us got married or something. So she created a life, this fantasy world for herself in the house. And
but did she ever go on medication at some point? Like when she married the second husband, she was able to find another husband. Did she get control?
My mother never married again.
He got the second wife. She divorced him, but she never. That's right. I'm sorry, but
she never married again. Dad did.
But did she ever get control of her chemistry?
No. No. She just did drugs. Like it was. Yeah. She would do Percocet and Tylenol with codeine, 6 of them.
So she was already the opioid crisis before we had an American opioid crisis. She was ground zero of opioids. Yeah. Now here's my other question. I asked before if you ever got back, you ever got the revenge, you ever got that catharsis thing again. Why? The other question would have been, why not when you were 18 or 21, just leave them forever and never send them a card for the holiday, just never talk to them or see them again?
because I kind of became like the surrogate mother to my 3 siblings. Part of me wishes that I did do that, go run away to California or something and think about myself. You know, most of my life was worrying about my family. I mean, even in 2006, I took my sister Reese's 2 children for 3 years so she could get herself off of drugs.
Oh, well.
You know,
But that's your sister.
you know,
that's,
a lot of...
Yeah.
So, you know, here I am at 61 years old, starting a new career, and finally it's like, take care of yourself more than everybody else, Romola, you know.
Oh, by the way, let's make this happy. What is your new career? Is it as the author, or you also did some stuff with natural foods?
Well, I had a business for close to 25 years selling amazing stuff to the natural food industry. I was a holistic practitioner for a while. I was broke, because who goes to a holistic practitioner 30 years ago? And then found my way into the natural food industry and just sold amazing things. You know, New Chapter, Mega Food, Hauschka, just amazing things. And then in 2009, I left that. So now, what I do is, besides being an author, I consult people and help them create a balanced and healthy relationship with alcohol, because many more of us problem drinkers than there are alcoholics. And in America, you know, you drink too much, you're an alcoholic, and that is not the case. So,
so you can be a problem drinker, like relying on alcohol for the wrong reasons, without being genetically predisposed to actually being an alcoholic.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of us, you know, go out and like, geez, I'm drinking 2 martinis 7 nights a week. Well, some people might not mind, and some people mind. Some people are like, geez, I would like to drink 2 martinis 3 nights a week. Or I remember working with a man. He drank a bottle of scotch every single night.
Gewalt.
And by the end of a year, he was drinking half a bottle of scotch every single night. And then he was drinking a quarter of, you know, if you wean yourself, and he's very happy drinking 2 glasses of scotch every night. That
but how
is
is he not?
for him.
How is that not an alcoholic?
Excuse me?
How is that not an alcoholic by American definition?
Well, he didn't consider himself an alcoholic, and he said, I can do this. I can learn to moderate. And he did. You know, many of the people that I work with didn't. I mean, that's an extreme situation that I was just telling you about. But if you don't think you're an alcoholic and you believe that you can learn to moderate and then you do it, that's a great thing. You know, I never considered myself an alcoholic. I was drinking close to a bottle of wine 7 nights a week for like 2 years. And I was like, something's not right here. You know, it wasn't stopping me from work. I wasn't waking up with too many hangovers, but you know, I didn't like doing that. It wasn't the way I wanted to live my life. And there's an organization called Moderation Management.
Oh, I like
MM,
that.
just like you know, Alcoholics Anonymous. And I went about 13 years ago. I went to meetings. I became a leader. I started my own groups, and now I'm a consultant here in Boynton and starting on Zoom. I mean, that's what I do. I go out and I do public speaking about my book.
Of course.
And then in some arenas, I'll talk about my story and how I got into drinking alcohol to get away from everything and what I did to learn to moderate it. And if anybody wants to learn, give me a buzz, you know.
Well, and is there a license that you have or something on the wall?
No. I just went through the schooling of moderation management. I became a leader of moderation management, and I have said to them, make a course. I mean, it's just like saying, if you're a leader in Alcoholics Anonymous, did you go to school? Well, you kind of went to the school of Alcoholics Anonymous. You know about the book, and you know about, you know, so you learned Alcoholics Anonymous. They don't have a course, just like MM doesn't have a course, but there's many, you know, because I was a holistic consultant and I went through years of learning how to be a consultant.
You've got the chops.
You know, I know how to talk with people, and, you know, MM certainly teaches you how to be a leader. So I guess it's MM, and, you know, I am certified as a holistic practitioner, so I just put all that together, and it works.
Well, if people want to get in touch with you, either they want to buy your book, for sure, or they would like counseling, they would like a session, how do they do that?
Okay, to buy the book, you go to Amazon. Okay,
well,
and if you
easy.
want to see my website for the book, it's Romola, R-O-M, like Mary, O-L-A.com. And if you're interested in learning about, you know, curbing some of your problem drinking, it's Creating Harmony, MM.com. So that's Creating Harmony, MM.com.
So that's one website for the drinking, and then for the book, of course, it's Romola.com. Now, I want to ask you about Romola. The name, you are Jewish, your Marty Hodas, your dad,
yes,
Jewish.
Yes.
Is it, Romola's an interesting name. Where did that come from?
So, do you know the Russian ballet dancer Nijinsky from like the 40s or 30s or something?
I don't know him personally.
Anyway,
we didn't have
so
dinner together.
Nijinsky, the Russian ballet dancer Nijinsky, married the Duchess of Romania, who was Romola.
Ah.
So my mother's mother, her name was Romola. And there's also an actress, I can't believe it, Romola Gaia something. She was in Vanity Fair with Reese Witherspoon, and
but I thought she was Irish-ish. It didn't strike me as a Jewy kind of a name, but it's a Russian Jewish sort of a name. What is her Hebrew name? Do you know?
Rivka.
Rivka. I love it.
Rivka.
Now, we're wishing everybody a happy Hanukkah this time of year. Can I ask, how Jewish are you at this point, if at all? Just culturally, do you celebrate anything? Do you ever go to a Seder? What do you do?
Oh, yeah. We had Seder every year. That's why this year's kind of hard being here in Florida. I used to have, the family, 15 people over every year for Hanukkah, Passover.
Yom HaAtzmaut, let's not forget that one. That's a beautiful...
So I have to figure out... I think my neighbor's going to be lighting the candles, so I'll go over there.
Well, let me ask, how do you have any kind of relationship with God, considering how miserable your childhood was? Wouldn't you reject a God that puts you through all that year after year?
Well, I stopped believing in God. Because just that, I was like, how the hell could there have been, and I didn't even get into what happened from 2009 to 2016. But then I was like, we are here on Earth to learn. And you might not understand what this universal energy is, what your karma or whatever, but, I couldn't, every night before I go to sleep and every morning, I was just telling my friend this morning, I wake up and I say, God, whatever you are, thank you for this day. I had a wonderful day. There was some really, really good things that happened today, even though it was shitty. This morning I woke up looking at my dog. Thank you for my dog. I know this is going to be a good day. I feel you with me, because I totally believe, this, I don't know if this is going to sound weird or whatever, but when I was a holistic practitioner, I would do massage for stress release. And I started to learn about polarity and energy work or whatever, and I started to have energy come through me. Okay. And the people would get off my table going, what? Wow, all I felt was love coming through you. And I'm like, well, yeah, if the energy of the universe is love, then so be it. So when you have that happen to you, when you actually know that you can just put yourself in a certain place and then this heat starts, it's not me. It's something bigger than me that I'm just able to channel, So that is also another reason why I kind of believe that there's something out there. And then
see, the only time that happens to me is when I sit on the microwave. That's about as close as I get. But let me ask you, you can't tease us, though. You can't just say, well, I haven't even talked about what the hell happened between 2009 and 2016. All right, what the hell happened between 2009 and 2016? I mean, you were doing a successful Whole Foods business.
Well, 2009, my largest account, well, actually in 2008, my largest account got rid of me because they were alcoholics. And I was starting to work with Sephora and Bloomingdale's, and they didn't want to work that hard. So anyway, when I was on a vacation, they fired me and hired someone else. So that, number one, I was like, oh my God, $7,000 gone, and I had reps to pay. So the trip that I was on, I was with my husband, and that trip I just knew my relationship was over. And it was awful for me because I stayed with him. I loved his mother, and I loved his father, and I loved his brother, and I loved his sister-in-law and the babies. They were my family, more family to me than my family. And I stayed with him. So anyway, so my marriage is over. My business is falling apart. A so-called friend introduces me to this man that I don't want to go through, but he starts to rob me. I go to the FBI. I see it. They tell me, they couldn't tell me then everything that was going on, but there was already a case opened, and I found out later on when they arrested him, he robbed $10 million from all these different people. Finally, caught him. Then the banks. So my business, I couldn't pick my business back up.
Right.
I was losing my husband, getting robbed, trying to start another business when my brains are all over the place. Then the banks want me to pay 25 cents on the dollar of what he robbed. And I said, go to hell, I'd rather go bankrupt. How could you do this to me? I've been with you for 20 years. I went bankrupt at 50 years old. So my life is slowly, then, I start another business with Affleck, and I'm going to go ahead and make $20,000 on Wednesday. We already went to the two nursing homes. The Sandy storm comes, that freaky Sandy, and it closes the two
the senior homes.
Senior homes, and my brother shoots his face off and lives. And I was like, there's no way there's a God. How could he be doing this to me? How? I became a bit agoraphobic. I couldn't go out. It was just too much for me living in Manhattan, going outside and zillions of people. And I just kept saying to myself, Romola, you're going to live till you're 96. I don't know why this is happening, but you're going to be all right. You just keep on going. And that is like what happened when my husband and I got divorced. Thank God he took care of me financially.
Nice.
I mean, he even paid an extra year when it was over because I couldn't function. He saw everything that was going on, and I am sure he felt guilty. Anyway, so...
Wow. And 2016 was a watershed.
And I couldn't go to work because my brother, my brother, he just, it was just like like a monster movie. And my father decided that my brother should want to die because he's not going to be able to see. I'm like, Dad, I understand that this is hard for you. He stopped my brother's insurance. They wanted to kick him out of the hospital. On and up for 4 years, I'm fighting. I went through all of my money for my brother. Blah 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 blah. So I was trying to save my brother's life as my brains are shattered all over the place. And finally, when my father passed 4 years ago, we thought that the bitch lady she wanted all the money.
Right.
She wanted all the money. Thank God that there was a judge that said, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Hodas, you pig. You're not going to make these children have no money." But for like a year and a half, we thought we were getting $250,000. we would all have to give that money to my brother so he could live. I mean, it was just awful, you know. So in 2016, I got a large sum of my inheritance, and I said, I'm out of here. I have to start a life after 8 years of being in hell. So I came to Florida.
This is where the Jews go. You turned 59, off you went. There you go.
So since I've been in Florida, life has really turned around, and
yay.
It's really very positive. It's just, you know, it's about 2 years of coming out of depression, and you know, so it's like I do my best to be, you know, easy on myself, because when you're trying to start a business and you're healing from all of that, it's challenging. But you know, what am I going to do? Sit and be a bag lady? Well, you know, I want to have a good life. So
and now here
I am, pounding away, you know, trying to create a new career at 61 years old.
Well, mit mazel with that, and hey, you know, you got to get used to eating dinner at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You will. It's good. Are you out there? Are you meeting any nice Jewish boys? Or are you done with that?
No, I am not done with that.
I don't know. Okay.
You know, no. I mean, it's not so simple. It's so not simple. Let me tell you.
Even in Florida?
No, I'm waiting for God to say, okay, it's your time. You're going to meet in the, you know, supermarket. You know, evidently he has his thoughts, or she has her thoughts, because the people that are coming into my life are like, oy vey, another one. Are you kidding? You know, nice people, but just not right for me, because they just aren't. So
I
guess it's not my time. But I know in my heart, I really know in my heart that somebody's out there. So I'm just being patient.
Well,
patient and pleading with God. Come on already.
Well, you're going to go on these, you're meeting more people through counseling, you're going on book tours, I'm sure, and you're going to start to meet more people from different walks of life, and not necessarily, you know, men with alligator skin from living in Florida for the past 8 years.
That's right.
Yeah. Are you going to write another book, or is this out of you?
If this book, because I ended the book at 30 years old.
Right.
You know, the plan was to write another book, but this book has to make it first before I write another book. You know, so I would love to, and I also want to write a book about, you know, moderating your alcohol. I'd love to do that.
Well, you've got the computer, you've got Florida, you know, you've got the sunshine, the time. Start today. This is what you got to do. It's Romola Hodas that we've been talking to. Her book is The Princess of 42nd Street from Riverdale Avenue Press. And you can get it all the usual ways, especially Amazon.com. You can find out more about her at Romola.com, R-O-M-O-L-A, Romola.com. And also, it was, remind me of the other website for people who want moderation management is what?
Right. CreatingHarmonyMM.com.
CreatingHarmonyMM.com. Well, it has been absolutely fascinating and often fun, even occasionally disturbing, talking with Romola Hodas. But you're in Florida now, where all the Jews are. You're in a much better place, and I wish you to be in even better places in the many, many years ahead until you're 96 plus. Forget 96. You should live to 126. 127 even.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a delight. Thank you, and shalom to you.
Thank you. You too.
Romola Hodas in the Daverhood on this Saturday, December 8th, 2018. Dave's gone by here. It's about 20 after 11 Mountain Time here in the Daverhood. So this is our 676th episode of the program. We're calling it OLA Coaster. Get it? Because of our new friend of the Daverhood, Romola Hodas. Remember to get her book, The Princess of 42nd Street, Surviving My Childhood as the Daughter of Times Square's King of Porn. It's available from Riverdale Avenue Books, which, by the way, they have a website too, riverdaleavbooks.com, and also on Amazon and her own website. We thank her so much for being in the Daverhood. And again, I second with the Rabbi, it's a very readable page-turner kind of a book. And once you get through it, you're going to want to know, oh my God, all this happened in the first 30 years, a whole bunch more happened in the next 30. Well, what's going to be happening in the next 30, 60, 80-something minutes of Dave's Gone By? We've got more stuff to do. For example, we have a Colorado Limerick of the Damned for you for Crested, Butte. We're going to have story time with the fun adventures, of Ernie and Bert together again. We've got Dave's Big Dick Shenary, where we'll be talking about the word fudge. My wife picked it. It's a good one, I gotta say. I've got stuff to talk about involving fudge. Don't go there. And then Saturday Segue of songs in the news. All of that to come on this episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream. Before we get any further, I do want to remind you that we have so much in the archives at davesgoneby.com. We have the very first show we ever did back in October of 2002. We have the third show we did, and the 4th, and the 5th, and the 9th, and the 28th, and the 628th. They're pretty much all there for free. You can either stream them directly on your computer or download them as MP3 files. So check it out. Hours and hours, literally now, thousands of hours of fun, of our sketches, of our comedy bits, of our more serious bits, of the music that we play. We don't play a lot of music anymore, but now that we're doing Facebook and a lot more YouTube stuff. But still, our old shows, for the first 500 plus shows that we did, we had Saturday Segues where it was all music, and it was great, and I miss that a bit. But all the other stuff we do as well, plus the fabulous guests, all at davesgoneby.com in the archive section. We also have photographs there. We've got the history of the show. You gotta check that stuff out. And if you want to drop me a line, davesgoneby@aol.com is the way to do it. Or, of course, you can message me right here on our Facebook page, Radio Dave Lefkowitz. Shout out to everybody who's been watching and commenting and giving me thumbs up and hearts up and things like that. Great to see you. And do stay with us, because we have more of the show to do. We've been in the gutter. We've been talking about the sleaze of 42nd Street with Marty Hodas and his empire. Let's wash up a little. Let's dip our hands in the beautiful baptismal toilet and clean ourselves and go higher level. Get a little more, shall we say, aesthetic. We're going to do some poetry, ladies and gentlemen.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain, Colorado.
So for the past couple of weeks, past couple of months actually, we've been doing this segment called Colorado Limericks of the Damned, and it has to do with doing a short poem, literally 5 lines long, that deals with and pokes fun at a town, a city, a municipality, whatever that is, somewhere in Colorado. So we've been doing places like Brighton, and we will do Greeley, and, gosh, I'm blanking already, and Vale, etc. So we're making our way through slowly, because I got dozens of these. I wrote one, then I wrote another, and then they just sort of all came to me. So week after week, we do another Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and today, oh boy, folks, aren't you excited? We are going to Crested, Butte. Crested Butte, and by the way, it is B-U-T-T-E, but it is pronounced Butte, like beautiful. Crested Butte is a skiing and mountain biking destination. It's about 9,000 feet above sea level. It is considered the wildflower capital of Colorado and has only about 1,500 residents, so it's a real ski bum area that people visit, and I guess you don't want to stay there because 10 months a year it's winter. The Ute Indians settled the place, and then it was founded, honest to gosh, by people who were trapping beavers. Well, how else do you get women up there? And surveyors. among the movies and TV shows that were shot up there, Disney's Snowball Express, as well as Mountain Family Robinson, was all done up in Crested, Butte. And so, in honor of the beauty of Butte, I'm going to do a beautiful poem as part of our Colorado Limerick, as our Colorado Limerick of the Damned for this week for Crested Butte. I'll hold my pinky up so that's a classy moment. How proper, how tender, how cute was that damsel from old Crested Butte. Who knew that beneath her gold hair and white teeth lay the heart of a sick prostitute? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Let me have a little noise there. Oh yes, worth waiting for, wasn't it? Well, stick around because we have so much more worth waiting for on this episode of the program. As a matter of fact, although it isn't poetic, we are staying in sort of a children's mode here on Dave's Gone By because, oh boy, it's story time. Yes, indeed, because months ago now, I got a book, a young adult, children's novel, out of the gas station where our car was being fixed. And it was all about Hansel and his pet goat. And we just had so much fun reading it on the air. And since then, I've done bunches of other books, a lot shorter books. Books like Bill Cosby's Little Bill. Last couple of weeks, it was the Color Atlas of Intestinal Parasites. That was certainly fun. There was a book about a really psychotic chicken. We've had, and of course, Vegetable Friends. Wouldn't want to leave out potato. But today, let's go back to children and go back to something that I grew up with. So even though I was already almost too old to be watching it, I was a Sesame Street fanatic from about 1969 on. So why not? Why not do, here we go, from Sesame Street, the Ernie and Bert book featuring Jim Henson's Sesame Street Muppets. Oh yeah, so bring the kids. This is Ernie and Bert at their very, very best. Here they are. Let's see what fun awaits us in this book, which is, by the way, by Norman Stiles, illustrated by Joe Mathieu. It's a Sesame Street Golden Press book that was published in 1977 by the Children's Television Workshop. All rights are reserved. Just so you know. Just so you know, if you think, hey, maybe there's a couple of rights that I can have, nope, they've reserved all of them, just so you know. Hey, it begins, and already Ernie is he's on it, he's at it. Here's Ernie, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no, wrong one. Here we go. Come on, Bert, put this on. Ernie, why should I put a pot on my head? Because, in Colorado, pot is legal now. So there's Ernie. We all know that they live together. They're just roommates. They were sort of envisioned as potentially being a gay couple, but they're just friends, just roommates officially on Sesame Street. And, maybe Sesame Street is like New York. They have to live together just to pay the taxes. So Ernie is asking Bert to put a pot on his head. Why? Because I broke the piggy bank, Bert. And Ernie shows him the broken piggy bank. And Bert, in an uncharacteristic moment of insouciance, says, so what? Whereas Bert would probably be pretty pissed off about that. But he's like, doesn't really care. Interesting, somewhat nonplussed Bert. So I put the money in the cookie jar. This is what Ernie is saying. So, because he broke the piggy bank, he's got to put the money in the cookie jar. And now Bert, notice the expression on Bert's face. He's like, ow, money in a cookie jar? Whoa, that's just, you're breaking certain laws of gravity by doing that, Ernie. Trust me, this gets better. Now, where are the cookies? Now Bert it takes Bert only about 4 seconds to get mad. He's kind of like my father and like me. It doesn't take much, just a few seconds, and we go from being, what? Oh, come on! That Bert anger, which is one of the things I loved about Sesame Street, that people weren't always just sweet and kind and wonderful. The humans tended to be. But the Muppets could express emotions that the adults had to be more even-handed with. So Oscar the Grouch could be a real grouch. And Bert, he was just as big a grouch as Oscar ever was, and he's dealing with with Ernie, being usual Ernie. Where are the cookies? I'll show you, Bert. I guess those cookies are going to be in a very interesting place. Let's see where. Okay, so he takes Bert, and now Ernie's sort of eating some cookies. He says, I put the cookies in the milk bottle. Cookies in a milk bottle? Which makes you wonder, because they have to be really, really small. So I don't know, the milk bottles that you used to get when you were a kid, but they had a hole like this, so I don't know. You have to be really those little mini diet cookies that you have to stuff in there, or you just be eating crumbs, which, by the way, Ernie is. So I guess it kind of works for him. And notice, of course, he's leaving. I don't know why, but apparently Ernie is bouncing. I don't know how he's managing that, but there's some sort of bouncing going on. Do not understand that. And now Bert is in full-on rage mode. He was moderately, surprised, a little upset, then angry, and now it's like, look at that face. There's the Bert face. There's the evil Bert. Dare I ask what happened to the milk? And milk in big, Brother Theodore-style capital letters there. Sure, Bert, and I'll show you. And now, I don't know if Ernie's just farting, or he's constantly has, the cookies, he probably drank the milk to eat the cookies, so already he's got the lactose intolerance going on. What did he do? Oh, I put the milk in the flower vase. Oh, now, Ernie, what did you do with a pretty flower? Well, I didn't realize that, I thought Bert preferred paper clips to actually pretty things. Notice that the lamp is about to topple. There's stuff falling all over the place. Ernie's not making a lot of gas at the moment, which I guess is a good thing. But he does have the milk in the vase that might cause a big problem. So, and Bert is just like, I could have shacked up with Snuffleupagus. At one point, Mr. Hooper kind of liked me. I could have gone out with him, but no, I got this guy. And now, I'll show you, Bert. I'm not sure I want to see. And now they go into their Stephen Sondheim sex dungeon, which is where they keep their really cool stuff. We're, by the way, reading the Ernie and Bert book on StoryTime here on Dave's Gone By. And what else would happen in this book? Where else would you deal with cookies and milk? Of course, he put the flour in the kangaroo's pouch, Bert. Apparently they found the kangaroo, because, I guess they're relatively easy to find. If you go off Sesame Street and across the corner to another street in the neighborhood, and nothing's really been broken yet, which is rather astonishing, considering you've got the cookies in the flour jar and the milk in another jar, and everything's being balanced, and there's a kangaroo hopping around, and Bert is, of course, hopping mad. You can see. Now Bert is making the steam. Maybe he had some of those milk and cookies. It's a very, very bizarre book indeed. What else happens? And on the next page, Ernie asks a question, a very telling question. You want me to tell you what I did with a baby kangaroo? I don't think you do, because it's going to be breaking reciprocity laws all across the United States, Ernie. What did you do with that baby kangaroo? And of course the kangaroo talks, and nothing better than a pun that's as bad as the ones they used to have in silent movies. Yeah, and hop to it. Get it? Because kangaroos hop? That's hilarious. That's just hilarious right there. What did Ernie do with the baby kangaroo? What could Ernie do? What could you do with a baby kangaroo? Oh, man. Here we go. I dread turning this page. I really do. Ladies and gentlemen, what Ernie did was, I put the baby kangaroo in a bird's nest. Oh, okay. I love that's not the word. I love the nonchalant look of the kangaroo there. He's just kind of hanging out on the couch, looks like he's reading a book, whereas little baby kangaroo, if you were to actually take a baby kangaroo out of another kangaroo's pouch, I don't think that's the expression that you would get on that kangaroo. I think you would have a very different expression of like, put down my child, or I will stomp you to death. But no, kangaroo's just sort of hanging out. Bert has gone from rage to just being like, I just want to get through this day. I just want my Valium. But I notice Bert is now holding on to all the stuff that he doesn't want to fall. There's money all over the floor. And, of course, an adorable baby kangaroo in Ernie's hands. And the sign is crooked. Just so you're getting all this detail, kids. And then we move on to And I put the birds... Dun, 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 dun. Where did Ernie put the birds? He put them... What? Oh, and Bert says, in an ice cream cone? Tweet, tweet, say the little birds. Right, Bert, here they are. And notice somehow Bert got loaded down with everything, including the baby kangaroo, the vase, the pot, the milk bottle, all this stuff. And he's not having it. He's not liking it. And notice the way Bert is bent over here. And he's starting to spill some of that milk. And Bert says, Ernie, where are the scoops of ice cream? There's really nowhere else on Bert's body to put scoops of ice cream. There might be places in Bert's body to put scoops of ice cream. But Ernie says, I thought you'd never ask. He's asking. We're turning pages. We're letting you know the ice cream is in the egg box. And the eggs, and poor Bert. Poor Bert, who's about to probably slip on the milk there, he's now too scared to be angry, because, it's all going to topple down and crush him to death, and Ernie's going to get his insurance. If you were wondering where the eggs are, the eggs are in the soap dish. That's cute. The kangaroo says, clever. Ernie, I'm trying to be calm, but pretty funny Bert doing his best. Because now the eggs are in the soap dish. What could happen next? What could possibly... And then one of the greatest... I would love to actually cut this out and hang this on my wall somewhere. And blow it up to... Just notice the chaos inherent in this picture. And also, I want you to imagine that I haven't been reading this whole book to you. That you just came across this image... absent of everything else and all that's been leading up to it. The milk, the coins, the kangaroo, the baby kangaroo, all of it. And you just saw this picture of Bert and Ernie. What would go through your mind? There's really nothing to say about this, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, get your mind. Well, even if you have your minds in the gutter, you can clean it up with a soap. It's Bert, hunched over, burdened by everything, screaming at Ernie, where did you put the soap? Where did you put the soap? And look at the expression on Ernie's face. First of all, he's playing pocket pool in his pants there. God knows what's going on there. He's got this shitty grin of even the kangaroo is it's just, I'm going to tear this sheet out of the book. I'm going to hang it on the wall at some point because it's just oh, it's beautiful if you've been reading the book, and even more beautiful if you haven't. Where did you put the soap? And then Ernie says, well, in the crayon box, of course. And see, that's where it is. He put the soap where the crayons are. Oh, and that nonchalant kangaroo saying, of course. And Bert's... It's amazing he hasn't really lost it yet. He's still holding on. He's holding the pot. He's holding the eggs. He's holding the coins. The kangaroo. Now, he's actually holding, not the full kangaroo, the baby kangaroo. Can there be more? Can there be more to this book? And Bert says, now I have no place for my crayons. I'm sorry. Maybe this isn't hitting you the way it's hitting me. But there's just something so wrong about this. Whether or not you've ever seen Avenue Q, it's just... Bert, still enraged. Now I have no place for my crayons. Sure you have, Bert. Oh, Lordy. Oh, yes, Bert may have some more places for his crayons. In the fishbowl, Bert! And this is it's basically like hole in the bucket story again, but they're doing it so beautifully, and it's so magnificently illustrated. Ernie, where are the fish? And this can only go so much longer. What else can happen? And of course, Bert owns a cowboy hat, as gay men would. The fish are in your cowboy hat. In my cowboy hat. And there's just, at this point, Bert still has the ability to be surprised. He still has, I'm getting wonderful shock and thumbs up from my wife who just tuned in from where she's watching. Hon, you missed the best one. You missed, honey, if you're going to allow me to, I'm going to cut this out and put this on the wall where we'll be living. The single greatest cartoon in the history of anything. Where did you put the soap? I'm sorry, I can look at this for hours and hours. In fact, I am looking for hours. But no, we got to finish up the book. We got to read the rest of the book here. So remember that the fish are now in Bert's cowboy hat, which makes him mad. And oh boy. Now, what am I going to wear when I play cowboy? Oh, I'll show you, Bert. This is so wrong for so many reasons. We're coming to the climax of the, there's a hole in the bucket. And of course, Ernie says, as everything comes crashing down, "Ride 'em, cowboy." The kangaroo says, very becoming. And the little, if you notice, the little kangaroo, the baby kangaroo, who has fallen down and should be cut up with the milk jug and other things hurting it, but seems perfectly fine and able to make the pun, looks like Wyatt Burp, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And there's kind of this would also stand alone as a rather beautiful cartoon, wouldn't it? Ride 'em, cowboy, with just the sex lives of Bert and Ernie. My wife says baby kangaroo is so cute. Yeah, it kind of is. See, it's got a little pouchy thing there. And ladies and gentlemen, they leave one page blank just to fill in the rest of what's going to happen between these two. Because, I think they're like Maud and Walter. They're one of those couples that has to do this and fight to get sexually excited in each other again. So you can see it's already happening there. There's Bert who's playing hard to get, and Ernie who's whispering in his ear, and eventually probably in his rear as well. This is the Bert and Ernie book. Let me remind you, this educational book was created in cooperation with the Children's Television Workshop, producers of Sesame Street. Children do not have to watch the television show to benefit from this book. Because there's great benefit in telling a child that you can go through the kitchen, take zillions of things out of other things, rearrange them, pile them on somebody until they drop them, and then go have some very, very weird physical contact elsewhere. So workshop revenues from this product will be used to help support CTW educational products. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are, the Ernie and Bert book. One more time. This is not the last time we're going to show this, but I've got to show this one more time. Where did you put the soap? Oh, it's just so beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. It's 11:45, Mountain Time here in the Daverhood on Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. It is our 676th episode of the show. We want to thank Romola Hodas for being in the Daverhood with us, and my darling and adorable wife Joyce for joining us in the Daverhood too, and of course Rabbi Saul Solomon for conducting that interview with Romola. You can find out more about him by going to ShalomDammit.com. ShalomDammit.com. That is a place where you can watch his live stage show that was recorded at the Richmond Shepherd Theater. You can also see his wonderful television show that's almost a decade old now that he did back on Long Island. And, of course, read his rabbinical reflections, his little mini sermons, all at ShalomDammit.com. Well, Rabbi Saul has been a friend of the Daverhood since the very beginning, and now, of course, Romola Hodas, the author of The Princess of 42nd Street, she is now a friend of the Daverhood as well, and we have so many others because we've had so many guests over the months and years of this show. We like to keep tabs on them and let you know what they're up to. the wonderful friends of the Daverhood. So it's basically keeping tabs on people who were guests on the show 5, 10, 15 years ago. What are they doing? Well, today, or tonight I should say, Penny Arcade is doing her solo show, The Fag Hag and Her Friends, in the Summer of Love. That is at the Baruch Performing Arts Center on Lexington Avenue in New York. And this is a sequel many, many years later to the show that really put her on the map, Bitch Dyke Fag Hag Whore. It's Penny Arcade doing The Fag Hag and Her Friends in the Summer of Love. I kind of wonder if these are among her friends, actually. Then we've got on Monday, one of the finest cabaret performers we've got. Steve Ross is performing Our Favorite Things with Shayna Farr. That is happening at the Episcopal Actors Guild on East 29th Street in Manhattan. And then this coming Wednesday, congratulations to our friend Catherine Russell. She is in that long-running show, Perfect Crime. It is going to reach performance number 13,000 at the Theater Center now. I mean, it was playing in a couple of other places before, but it's at the Theater Center, 13,000 performances, and she has appeared in all but less than a dozen of them since the very beginning, so congratulations on that. Chaz Palminteri is doing his solo version, the original version of A Bronx Tale, that is at the Tarrytown Music Hall, which is really not far from Manhattan. You just take the Metro North, it's over near White Plains, but that is happening this Friday, December 14th. Playing now through the middle of December, Greg Kogas' satire, The Truth About Santa, is over at the Tank in Midtown Manhattan, and then now through the end of December, Christmas in Hell is at the York Theater that has sets by the York's artistic director, James Morgan, who is our friend of the Daverhood. The upcoming Broadway show Hadestown is still running in London before it comes here. It's at the Olivier Theatre, and it features our friend Andre de Shields playing Hermes, or Hermes. Let's see, what else? Junie B. Jones, the musical, is playing through the middle of December. That is by Marcy Heisler and Zena Goldrich, our friends, and that is at the Black Box Performing Arts Center in Teaneck, New Jersey. Also playing for another week, Bruce J. Friedman's Steam Bath, a revival of his show from the early 1970s, I think. They're doing it at the Odyssey Theater in Los Angeles. We mentioned before that La Chance is on Broadway in summer, the Donna Summer musical, at the Lunt Fontaine Theater. That is running until the end of the year. Running at the Sondheim Theater on Broadway with a book by Douglas McGrath. It's beautiful, the Carole King musical. And then playing only through January 20th. Remember, you have only a few weeks now to see the very fun musical School of Rock, which has lyrics by our pal Glenn Slater. That is at the Winter Garden Theater. Now through the end of January, it's Fiddler on the Roof, performed by the National Yiddish Theater in Yiddish, with musical direction by our friend Zalman Mlatek, and also, of course, lyrics by Sheldon Harnick, our other friend. And if you miss it downtown, don't forget it's moving to Stage 42 off-Broadway in February. Playing on Broadway, it's that marvelous musical The Band's Visit, featuring a score by David Yazbek. That's at the Barrymore. At the Gerald Schoenfeld Theater, Irene Sankoff and David Hines' absolutely marvelous musical Come From Away. Hamilton features Daniel Breaker, that is at the Richard Rogers Theater. And then moving away from Broadway, it's Jim Caruso's Cast Party, Monday nights at Birdland, every Monday night. You can see on Fox Television The Cool Kids every Friday night with Leslie Jordan and Vicki Lawrence. Both of them are friends. And who else? Shout out to our friend Evan Seplow, who edits StageBuddy.com. He founded it also. DrDemento.com with new and old Dr. Demento shows. Shout out to our friends Charlie Gross and Leslie Hoban Blake and their theater review show 2 on the Aisle on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, where you can also watch High Drama, hosted by our pal Eva Heineman. Bob Cudmore doing podcasts about upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. StoryTime.com. Want to remind you that Gil Moon hosts Senior Circle Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock, and also Golden Years Theater, Old Time Radio, Sunday nights from 6 to midnight, both of them on KFKA Radio 1310 here in Greeley, Colorado. And letting you know that Jeannie Lieberman is the editor and kind of the co-founder, I think, maybe even the publisher of TheaterScene.com with tons of Broadway reviews. And that, my friends, is the friends, or are the friends, of the Daverhood. It's about 8 minutes to noon Mountain Time, 8 minutes to 2 Eastern Time. We're in the Daverhood here with me, Dave Lefkowitz, doing the 676th episode of Dave's Gone By. Been great to join, or to have you join me and give me thumbs up and love and comments all through the show. Joyce, my wonderful wife, is giving me some more hearts and love. More DGB, she's saying more DGB. Oh yes, there is more. Don't forget, we have a Saturday Segue coming up. But before we get into that, something that we did early in the show, my wife was kind enough to do something really wonderful with her finger. She took it and she put it in the middle of this book, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary of more than 75,000 definitions. And at random, she poked through, truly at random, and put her finger down on a word. And then my job every week is to find something to talk about involving that word. We call this segment Dave's Big Dictionary, which goes a little something like this. Extra, tell all about it. It's Dave's Big Dictionary. Kind of reiterated what I just said, but it is Dave's Big Dictionary, and amazingly enough, Joyce's finger landed, when she touched me in a special place, she landed on fudge. Yes, that is going to be the word of the day today from the dictionary, fudge. And one particular definition, although I'll do a bunch, but let's find it. Without my glasses, this is going to be fun. Where the hell is it? Fudge, here we are. It's right after Fuggy Duggy, quite honestly, which would have been a good one too. But here's fudge. The first definition that they have is as a verb: to exceed the proper bounds of something, to cheat, to falsify something, to fail to come to grips with. Also, I never heard it used in that capacity. It's also a noun meaning nonsense, and of course a soft candy of milk, sugar, butter, and flavoring. Oh, this dictionary is so weird. It puts the most common known definition of everything like the last one, and it puts all the lesser known definitions first. But yeah, fudge, we all know what fudge is. So, how am I going to talk about fudge for a couple of minutes here on Dave's Gone By? Well, first of all, it's interesting that I think like every kid, I liked fudge. Every good boy loves fudge. Fudge, it was very chocolatey and rich and tasty. I mean, there was nothing bad about fudge. It's a giant wedge of chocolate, and you're not dealing even with the porousness of cake, or cake might have Black Forest cherry crap in it, or the icing is too sticky or gooey or sweet. No, your fudge you bite into, the top is the same as the bottom, is the same as the middle. It's all one thing, a hunk of chocolate smush that's all been densely packed together. What child doesn't love that? What child doesn't like that? I don't know if it was Little Debbie's or some place used to make cheap-ass fudge that you could get in the supermarket, and I would eat that. And the interesting thing is I still like fudge. I would still eat it. I'm not going to turn down a piece of fudge. But I don't know, maybe as you get older, your tastes change a little bit, and it is maybe a little much for me. It wouldn't be the first snack I would reach for. I'd rather have a chocolate bar most of the time than chocolate fudge, or certainly any of the other kinds of vanilla fudges that I used to like. And I don't mean the band. I mean actual vanilla or caramel or other flavors. So now it's like, certainly still like it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm more of a salty snack guy at the moment, although chocolate is always good, but not the fudge aficionado I used to be. Not sure what else to say about that in that context. Fudge, I do remember, and I don't know if anybody remembers that reading all the Judy Blume books when I was a kid. And remember, there was a character called Fudge, which was so cool. And they did even a character and turned him into a series of Fudge books, most of which were already below my grade level when I was reading or post Judy Blume. So I didn't really read all the Fudge books, but I remember it was so cool. Oh my God, there's a guy named Fudge, and he wasn't incontinent, which would have been really, really cool. That would have made the most sense to name him Fudge, if you think about it. But fudge also means to change something, to kind of hedge on the numbers, to switch things around a little bit, kind of like what Michael Cohen is doing with Donald Trump's taxes, perhaps, to fudge. And then, of course, we get the dirty thing and the packing fudge. And I do remember, of course, and who does not recall from McDonald's, from Carvel, Fudgy the Whale. That was the greatest one. That was the one that seemed to have the most surface area of all the Carvel cakes that they made. Because Cookie Puss was kind of, sort of this regular mold, even though I think they used the same mold for everything. It was a whale. And whales always seemed bigger than everything else, right? And it was shaped in sort of a different way. So you could have a Cookie Puss or a Cookie O Puss or that alien space creature or Fudgy the Whale. Man, it was a whale full of fudge, which was one of the beautiful things about Carvel. And I was reminded of this just a couple of weeks ago, because over Thanksgiving, we wanted to get a Carvel cake, but we didn't want to schlep to the supermarket that had it. So instead, we got a Baskin-Robbins cake. And Baskin-Robbins, one of the nice things, it's got the chocolate crunchies that Carvel is known for, but they also stuffed fudge into the cake, kind of like Fudgy the Whale did. So that was a childhood memory coming back to me of like, aha, oh man, because Carvel, you got everything in a cake, right? You got the crunchy, you got the fudge, you got the ice cream, you got the icing, you got the lettering, you got the little bug parts, because a bit of that is allowed in everything you eat in America. So, just nice to remember Fudgy the Whale as well. And I will get more into this later on when I'm talking about political correctness. But this idea of trying to say, oh, fudge, instead of another word, right? Some genius thought of this, and if only it had caught on. I don't know why it doesn't, It is almost as easy to say fudge as to say the F word. F is quicker. It's got the F and then ends with a hard K, which makes it very powerful. Fudge, you can't just say fudge. It doesn't give you that solid, angry that you need, if you slam your hand in a drawer, or if somebody's being a jerk to you on the road and trying to bypass you, or cuts in front of you, or does a turn while you're barreling towards them. Fudge you. It doesn't come out right. It doesn't quite work. But it would have been nice if that had come true. What else was I going to talk about? I was going to talk about something else about fudge growing up, and now I'm thinking more in terms of saltwater taffy, and I don't want to fudge this segment. Let me read the definitions again to put these kind of back into my head, because we said it's also about to exceed the proper bounds of something, right? To cheat and to falsify, to fudge data, which is a rather terrible thing. And it's also nonsense, which I've never heard it. I've never, in my memory, heard somebody say, well, this is just fudge. This is, what you have down there, this paragraph is pure fudge. Can't say that that's ever occurred to me to say, or anyone else to hear. Fudge. Oh, man. Every time I go to the word now, because I'm a grown-up, and because we've heard that phrase so much, it's all about... And I will say, without being too disgusting or too adult about this, I was always confused about this. This is absolutely true. I still am okay? I never quite got whether the three different things, I guess I should just look up in Urban Dictionary, of what packing fudge actually is. Because I've seen it in different ways. I used to think, okay, packing fudge, it was gay men doing anal sex. It's like the guy is a stockus and he's packing fudge. One person is packing the thing into the thing, and that's what it meant. I always assumed that's what it meant, right? And that's what it signified. And then elsewhere I read, not necessarily, packing fudge means if a guy is just sort of well hung, not that I would know anything about that, but he's wearing very tight pants or tight underpants or briefs or whatever the heck you wear, a thongy thing, and then he's packing the fudge in there. I may be making this part up. I'm not sure if that's actually true, but I thought that's another explanation. And then I've also believed that I've heard it, that you're somewhere and you don't have time to get to the bathroom, something that I've experienced and even done theater about, and suddenly you're sitting there and your underpants are full. You are, at that point, packing fudge. So anybody who's listening, anybody who's watching, or anybody who wants to write in, are all those three correct? Is one of them completely my own invention? Is one of them not used at all or was archaic? As yes, the underpants thing, that was only in the 1700s. So I would be curious if you have any ideas about the packing of fudge, metaphorically and analogically. I would love to, or anally, let me know. davesgoneby@aol.com, or just right here on Facebook. Radio Dave Lefkowitz is the page. But yeah, I think I've done fudge up, down, around, and to the middle. Haven't really done anything about fudging numbers or changing things. Let's fudge the outcome. Let's, no. Okay. I think I should have left it with packing fudge, as so many people do. And that was Dave's Big Dictionary for this Saturday, December 8th, 2018. Well, it is just after noon Mountain Time here in the Daverhood on Dave's Gone By. This is kind of when we should be stopping. This is basically, should be, the end of the show. But oh no, folks, we have more for you, because we still have one more segment to do, and it's our Saturday Segue of Songs in the News. This is where we play songs, and you have to tell us why we're playing them. Extra, extra, hear all about it. We provide the rhymes, you provide the reasons. It's our Saturday Segue of Songs in the News. So just as I said, this kind of also gives me a little bit of a break from talking, but I'm going to play parts of songs, about 30-second snippets, and you're going to listen to them, and you're going to think, why is Dave playing that? What's happening in the news, in the world, in current events, or what's about to happen that would make Dave think of playing this song? Is it the title? Is it the author? Is it the theme of the song? The person who's singing it? That's your job. My job is just to sit back and play the music, sometimes even from another medium.
As long as they all relax in town before they resume with a bang and a boom. F-Troop!
Yes, indeed, where Indian fights are colorful sights and nobody takes a lickin', especially if they're busy packing fudge. That being the theme song from a TV show that actually lasted over only 2 seasons, but played and continues to play in perpetuity, even though it's one of the most politically incorrect in some ways shows, if you're First Nations or Native American or anyone. But then, of course, the theme song from F-Troop. Why would I be playing that song, which, by the way, is by William Lava and Irving Taylor? Why would I play F-Troop? The sad news that came down just last Saturday, a week ago today, that actor Ken Berry passed away at the age of 85 from heart disease. Born in Moline, Illinois, he was a tap dancer, and he was actually in the Horace Heidt, remember, was it Family Night with Horace Heidt or something like that? He was in the ensemble there on radio and early television. Berry went into the Army, and then after that he looked for acting work, and I didn't know this, but according to Wiki, Ken Berry almost took over the role that Donald O'Connor had in the Francis the Talking Mule movie series, but instead Mickey Rooney went into it and became available. Then Ken Berry went to Vegas. He opened and worked for and even with Abbott and Costello. Who knew, right? By the late 1960s, Berry was doing Disney films and the movie musical Hello Down There with Tony Randall. Who remembers that either? Well, one thing, and then he became an ensemble member on Broadway in 2 editions of the Billy Barnes Revue in 1959 and 1961. But then TV came calling, and, his blandly handsome, non-assuming looks came to the fore. He was in Dr. Kildare. He was in the Andy Griffith Show as well as Mayberry RFD. And then, of course, his great role as Captain Parmenter in F Troop. He was just perfectly cast in that. Later on, he had a failed variety show and some other small projects, lots of TV guest appearances, and then he made a recurring role. We talked about Vicki Lawrence before in Mama's Family. He also did some theater work, not so much in New York, but across country. He toured in I Do, and the musical Sugar. I remember, and this is one of my first Ken Berry memories, even really before F Troop, was seeing him on TV in a TV version of Once Upon a Mattress with Carol Burnett. A very fond memory of early probably live television musical theater. Fun. I want to see that again. I think it's all up there on YouTube, and people can watch it over again. But Ken Berry, I remember him in that. And then Berry and his ex-wife adopted a son and daughter. The son, a musician, died 2 years ago, and I assume the daughter is still alive. But we say farewell to the very fondly remembered Ken Berry of F Troop, who passed away last Saturday. Well, speaking of the dead, well, in that case, speaking well of the dead, maybe not so well of this one.
Some think a fancy funeral.
Okay, a bit of Lucinda Williams there. Again, I apologize for not being able to play more than literally half a minute of any song on the show because of Facebook and YouTube rules. But you heard the words in there. You heard the title of the song, Fancy Funeral. Lucinda Williams there from her album West. Why would I play the song Fancy Funeral on Dave's Gone By today? Well, my God, how fucking long did it take to bury George Herbert Walker Bush? I mean, seriously, he died... When did that guy die? He died on last Friday. He died November 30th, and they didn't put him in the ground until this Thursday. So, I mean, I know you have people, even in other religious traditions, where they've got a wake and somebody sits on ice for a week. But, I mean, this was just like, okay, he died, he was a president, he wasn't a really good president, but he wasn't a terrible president. You mourn a little bit, and you have a big, important public service, so that you have all this going on. They didn't put the guy in the ground, but he was in state, and then the ceremony took 2 days. I put on the TV on Wednesday. Oh, there's the thing. There's Clintons and Obamas and Trump, and they're paying respects, and they're sitting there, and they're doing all this, and then the next fucking day, it's still going on. They're still burying this man. President number 41, George Herbert Walker Bush. If only it were, if only it were the sun, right? He was finally buried in Houston, Texas on Thursday. This is why, whether you like him or not, right, or whether you believe in his left-wingishness or not, we need to elect Bernie Sanders president just because we need a Jew in office. So if he dies... Okay, you cry a little, you have the ceremony the next morning, and 24 hours, because, Orthodox Jews, you put him in the ground. I don't think Sanders is Orthodox. But who's that other guy? Even the Republican Joe Lieberman, right? You get him in office, he drops dead, it's like, boom, bring the cameras, 18-hour nonstop from hitting, when he hits the floor, they wrap him up, they put some, they can't dissect him or do autopsies because it's a Jewish thing. So boom, within hours, you get all the families, you get all the presidents, all the TV crews, you do the funeral, you keep it quick, 45 minutes, you get a rabbi in there, boom, 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 pine box, get him over to Baron Hirsch Cemetery, put him in the ground, you're done, and then you wait for the next non-Jewish president, and then it's another week and a half when Jimmy Carter goes, right, or W goes. And it's just like, oh, enough already. It reminded me of being a kid and seeing Watergate on TV, and because I wanted to watch game shows and fun stuff like that, or Sesame Street on TV, and the Electric Company, and every channel was John Dean and John Ehrlichman and Eric Halderman and the press speculating about Richard Nixon, and it's like Rosemary Harris, or no, she's an actress. What's her name? Rosemary Woods. And I want to see this. I'm 7 years old. I want to see win, lose, or draw, or concentration, or the Alex Trebek one where they roll the dice and stuff. Or I wasn't into Let's Make a Deal, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, and week after week after the Watergate hearings were just going on, and it felt like that with H.W. Bush's funeral. So he's in the ground. He's passed. If you want to see the jokes that I wrote about him last week, go see last week's show. It's on Facebook or at davesgoneby.com in our My Sick Mind segment. But anyway, if it was bad taste to tell jokes about George W. Bush a week ago when he was only dead 2 days, fair game. I'm sorry, fair game now. Like the buzzards, go after him. Anyway, let's go after our next song, our next tune of songs in the news on this Saturday's Segue. Let's see, I can start it from the beginning. The tunefulness there, of course, and the unmistakable voice of, where is he? Of the Magnetic Fields. I'm forgetting his name. Shame on me. Well, somebody email me or give me the name of the main songwriter, the guy who is the Magnetic Fields. Gay Jewish guy. Name's not coming up. But anywho, why would we play that song called Heather, Heather from Magnetic Fields from their 2000 album Pieces of April? Well, on Thursday, Donald Trump said that he would nominate State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert to replace Nikki Haley as the UN ambassador, or as the American ambassador to the United Nations. So, big shock. Heather Nauert is a former Fox News anchor. Where's he getting these people from, right? Absolutely no experience in diplomacy, but she's very cute. Nikki Haley was a good-looking woman. Nauert is kind of fine. So all these Arabs who are looking at her, maybe they'll defer. They won't really listen to her, and the Asian cultures won't listen to her because they're not going to listen to a young woman. But maybe some of the other countries, the European countries, will go, typical thing where they'll look at a pretty woman and just nod and agree without realizing what they're agreeing to. So maybe Heather Nauert will do some good stuff in the United Nations. Also, he's got a new attorney general that Trump is going to be appointing, and he's got a chief of staff coming up to replace John Kelly. But one that he did mention was Heather Nauert coming into the United Nations as ambassador, and of course the Democrats are going to try and I don't think there's anything they can do to stop her because they don't have the Senate. They just have they have Congress. I keep saying the Democrats need to pick their fights, right? If he wants to appoint someone who is pleasant and has some experience has experience in media, so she has poise, and to do this job, then let him have that. What's it really matter? Don't save your fight for the bigger things, because Trump has 2 more years in office, and there's probably 1 or 2 more Supreme Court picks coming up. So that's going to be the real bloody dog fight. Save your energy, like you sort of wasted it on the whole Kavanaugh thing. pick your fights, Democrats, because they're also going to go after anybody that Trump nominates for anything, including the Attorney General guy and so forth. But anyway, that's why we played Heather Heather from Pieces of April, the Magnetic Fields 2000 album. Oh, I'll probably remember his name while I'm playing the next piece of music. This is actually from a late friend of the Daverhood.
Let's have a PC holiday.
Kind of fun there to be able to play a little more than just 30 seconds of a song. That was our old, late friend of the Daverhood, kind of an early friend of the Daverhood, as a matter of fact, a cabaret performer and songwriter named Dottie Berman. Dottie Berman, she left us a few years back, but was great to have her in the Daverhood. A very clever songwriter and kind of a not as dark as Tom Lehrer, but in a Noel Cowardy, very verbally dexterous way. And anyway, Dottie Berman wrote that song, Let's Have a PC Holiday, where everything's politically correct, from her album When the Palm Trees Grow in Central Park. So, why would I be playing Let's Have a PC Holiday? Well, it is Hanukkah that she mentioned, and we're in the middle of Hanukkah, getting towards the end of it, but it's been a week of political correctness run amok, ladies and gentlemen. It's just been going too crazy. Now, you know, me, I'm the artist. I believe in being able to say what you have to say, and sometimes wanting to, or having to push the envelope, and shock people, and ease people into something and then zap them a little bit, and say something that might, oh my God, offend people a little bit. And it's one of the rare times when I tend to agree more with the conservatives and the right wing and the Fox people than with the folks on the left. And even kind of nod when Fox starts saying, well, you snowflakes, you can't take anything, you can't say anything anymore, you can't make a joke anymore, because this is what happened just this week in America. First of all, radio stations in Cleveland and San Francisco banned a song. They banned, and it wasn't a song by Lil' Kim, and it wasn't by Kanye, and it wasn't something that's modern and obscene or something like that. They banned a song that's about 60 years old now, I think, or more, by Frank Lesser, called Baby It's Cold Outside. You know there's I really can't stay, baby it's cold outside, da-da-da-da-da, baby it's cold outside. Yeah, why did they do it? Well, because it's the Me Too era. It's the hashtag era. And women might get triggered, or it kind of advocates the whole Bill Cosby thing of, no, stay here, have another drink. Oh, yeah, the drink tastes a little funny. Don't worry about that. Just relax you. So they're equating this song written 60, 70 years ago by one of the greatest songwriters that Broadway has ever known. Frank Lesser, of course, wrote Guys and Dolls and Most Happy Fella, right? And How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. So here's this guy. Was he How to Succeed? Yeah. Baby It's Cold Outside, a classic of the season. One of the classics that even non-Christians can enjoy, because it isn't about Jesus and mangers and Santa. It's just about, real cold outside, snow, guy, girl, guy making his move, girl playing hard to get, but not actually saying, no, don't rape me. And yet these stations are banning the song, because they feel that it's, it's the guy is coming on a little, and he's pressuring the woman to do stuff, right? Then what was that other song? And the author died just a few months ago too. We tried to get him on the show, but he was already kind of too ill to do it. This is how the brain works. He wrote a song called Where Do You Go To My Lovely, which was his hit. And then there was another one that they used to play on the Dr. Demento show called... Well, it was the same kind of thing. It was kind of like it's okay, dear, you stay a while, you can take off this, you can do that, I'm just going to take off that, I'm just going to take off that, and finally they wind up in bed together. It's also like Flanders and Swans Have Some Madeira, my dear, which I'm sure they would ban too, because that's even worse. So, okay, that's one aspect of political correctness, of taking this song that's been fine for the holidays forever. You're going to ban a song like that, you're going to have to start to ban most of the best early songs of the Rolling Stones, right? Because you're not going to play Under My Thumb, is Down to Me, The Change Has Come, she's Under My Thumb. Another one was another Stone song, Look at That Stupid Girl. Not talking about the clothes she wears, Look at That Stupid Girl. Neil Young wrote a song called Stupid Girl. How many Mick Jagger songs were incredibly sexist and incredibly oppressive towards women? I mean, my God, gotta ban Stray Cat Blues from Beggar's Banquet, because he's talking about, this girl who's with him who's 16 years old. I bet your mama knows you can't scratch like that. It's like, it's going a little fucking crazy with what you can and can't say, what you do and can't do. And as someone who was, taken off a college radio station, not this one, but a college radio station years ago, for saying something about someone and using the B word, oh my God, I am extra sensitive about this kind of thing, of saying, say what you want to say. But it hit somebody else at a much higher level than these little radio stations that are banning a Christmas song, or a Christmas time song. You had Kevin Hart, one of the most high-paid, popular comedians and comedy actors in America, Kevin Hart, right? Back in 2009, 2011, he did some material that was kind of mocking of gays and could be perceived as homophobic. Right? 8 years ago, in his act, part of an act, I've never found Hart particularly funny. I don't get him, but it's his act. It's what he does. And he was making some things about, and using the F word, not fuck, but faggot, saying it, using that word in the context of his act, of making jokes of being a certain kind of heterosexual, macho black man who would look at things and say, oh, that's faggot, that's gay, or this, I don't want to be like that, I don't want my daughter to be like that. Yeah, a little offensive. That's what comedians are. That's what comedians do. And they said, hey, Kevin Hart, you better apologize for saying these things. Not last week, not a month ago, but 7 years ago, or else we're not going to let you host the Oscars this year. And Kevin Hart said, fuck you, or he said, fudge you, essentially. He said, that's my what? This was my act years ago. And some of it's kind of funny, and am I not allowed to do comedy now? Am I not allowed to say the things I want to say in a comedic framework? And he said, no, I'm not going to do a real apology. And you know what? The hell with the Oscars. I don't need it. He's rich enough. He's famous enough. He doesn't need to do the Oscars this year. So he's off. He's not going to host the Oscars. And I hope nobody watches the Oscars this year. Right? The ratings have been going down and down and down. And, of course, the right wing is thrilled because they see the Oscars as a bunch of backslapping, privileged, overprivileged Hollywood lefties who are incredibly corrupt and hypocritical. They laud Harvey Weinstein, and yet they think that Donald Trump and the Republicans are so terrible. And on some level, they're right. But this year, let's really boycott the Oscars all across the aisle and let them backslap each other at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. Because that is ridiculous. It's one thing to arrest and jail Bill Cosby for taking young women back to his place, drugging them, and wrapping their hands, kind of like a nail gun, around his wang. That is an arrestable offense. Right? And it's another thing to hold it against Mel Gibson, even though he got to make another movie, when he comes stone blind drunk out of a car and starts ranting about the Jews in an anti-Semitic way. I'm not going to watch his movies. I'm not going to buy tickets to support Mel Gibson, but I'm also not going to be like Germany where they arrest people if you have a copy of Mein Kampf, right? So if he wants to be anti-Semitic, fuck him, but, don't cross my path, or, I'd probably get violent on your ass, like I could pick up Mel Gibson. But at the same time, he was drunk. These are not things he would say if he were in the proper frame of mind, even if he felt them, even if he believed them deep down, right? But even that is still kind of different. But the penalties that people are paying, I like that alliteration there, the penalties people are paying for saying stuff in a comedy context, it's sort of like, I get the Kathy Griffin thing. I get, in an era defined still by 9/11 and by Arab terrorism, holding up a picture of, holding up the bloodied, severed head of Donald Trump is not funny. And it's just, there's something kind of wrong about that. And she shouldn't have done it. And I think it should cost her career, not completely, but her career some mileage and should have done some damage to her. I get that. But she was even sort of towing the line. And if she had made it funny, it would have been no problem. The problem was she missed the boat on the funny. It's the same thing that happened to Michael Richards all those years ago, the guy from Seinfeld, who was, what else was he going to do with his life? He can retire wealthy. He tried solo a TV show of his own, a sitcom, didn't work out. So what's he going to do? He's going to go to comedy clubs, and he still wants to be out there. He's a funny guy in one of the more unusual comedy ways of anybody working in the field. And he gets out there, and he's trying to do some improv, and whatever comes into his head, because your head goes I've done stand-up comedy. I know your head goes all over the place, especially when you start to flop, or when you try and say, hey, I think I'm going to do something different and interesting. What can I go? Where can I do a little bit of shocking stuff in a Lenny Bruce sort of a thing? He saw some black people and started to go off on a tangent, which maybe he would have made funny if he were a better comedian. He was a comic actor in Fridays and in Seinfeld, so he never had the years and years of chops of being able to go on stage and turn something around to his favor when it wasn't working. He was new to stand-up, which is a very different animal from just comedy acting. And so he gets up there, uses the N-word a couple of times, somebody in the audience records it, and when is the last time you heard of Michael Richards doing anything? Thank God, he's at a stage of his career where he doesn't have to do anything, but still, for that, in a comedy club context, he saw his career destroyed by trying and failing to find something funny in playing with race, in using those words, that particular language. And I'm so sick of it. And it's getting worse and worse because the left has to go harder left to counteract the fact that we've got a Republican president and still a Republican Senate, and all these judges in the Supreme Court are going to be Republican. So the left has to be stronger, and it's like, well, my gosh, we've got this pussy grabber in the White House. We have to be the absolute censors on the lookout for any word that might offend a Native American or a black person or a Hispanic person or a Jewish person or this or this, which is why they were calling Donald Trump and his people anti-Semitic back in the day. Remember, a year and a half ago, not only was Trump terrible in so many other ways, he was sexist, but he was an anti-Semite somehow. Not even thinking that the man, his son-in-law, is an modern Orthodox Jew. His daughter converted to Judaism to marry him. Trump has been more pro-Israel than, well, both Bushes were pretty pro-Israel, actually, but a hell of a lot more pro-Israel than Obama was, and even more so than Clinton was. He was the one who put the embassy in Jerusalem after all these years, where it belongs, and yet somehow Trump and some people writing for Breitbart, and I think Paul Breitbart was Jewish, for God's sakes. So, yeah, Trump unfortunately said ameliorating things about people of the right wing and the alt-right and KKK should not have, obviously. But this idea of every little thing the left and the snowflakes are jumping on, so can't say that, don't say that, put that a different way, apologize for that. Oh, we don't want to hurt you, your poor little feelings. Oh my gosh, stop it. Stop it. Let's all talk. Let's respect each other's feelings, but let's be able to talk the way we feel, write what we want to write, say what we want to say, and certainly in a creative context, if you're a writer, a poet, a comedian, be allowed to explore and push the envelopes and push the barriers and say things the way you want to say them, and then double back if you end up going a little too far and you didn't really mean it, or it didn't come out quite the way you said. Yeah, do apologize. And apologize in the way that we get so many apologies from sports figures who do something and then they say, well, I'm sorry if this made you feel bad. Not that I'm sorry for saying it, not really sorry for saying it, but I'm sorry if what I said offended somebody. And people call this a fake apology, and people say this is not a legitimate apology. It's a perfectly fine apology. Right? You say something, you kind of mean it, or you meant it at the time, or it didn't come out quite the way you fully meant it, but you were getting something out there, and it's off the top of your head, and then somebody got offended. Well, gosh, I really didn't mean to offend you. I meant to explore this topic and make people think. So I'm not sorry I said it. I'm not deeply apologetic and crying in my soul for thinking something and saying something. I'm sorry if what I said made you feel a little bad, or made you, took you aback a little, or triggered you in some way. Sorry about that. But that's a perfectly fine apology to me. And I apologize for running on about this topic on the Saturday segue of In the News songs. We do have one more song to play for you in this segment. And, honestly, it kind of ties everything together, whether we're talking about our Bert and Ernie book, or the packing of Fudge, or, the homophobic statements of Kevin Hart. I mean, weird how this all ties together and kind of fits in with this great, great song from the punk and new wave era. Pretty great song there. From a man who was in the important punk band, the Buzzcocks, and then went off on his own, Pete Shelley, with the song Homo Sapien, veiled, not terribly veiled, look at his being bisexual back in, and we're going back to 1981, so it was pretty brave of him to put out a song, and for that song to be kind of an MTV-era hit, the song Homo Sapien, by Pete Shelley. Why are we playing that? Not because of all the weird ways that gay and bi and LGBT have tied in with some of the things that we've been talking about. And look, I'm even wearing a purple shirt today. Just purely unintentional. But no, sad news. Pete Shelley died on Thursday at the age of only 63 years old. He was born in Manchester, to blue-collar parents. In 1975, he and Howard Devoto, remember him, they formed the Buzzcocks. They had a couple of hits. They even opened for the Sex Pistols at one point. And then they broke up in 1981. That's when Shelley had his big hit, Homo Sapien. Banned, talk about recordings, and more things changed the more they remained the same, because the BBC felt that Homo Sapien was about gay sex. I don't know, Homo Superior in my interior. If you want to really, really reach to say that that's directly, unequivocally about not just being gay, but gay sex, that's someone at the BBC who's got problems, not Pete Shelley. Anyway, Shelley released other albums, and he toured quite a bit. The Buzzcocks reunited back in 1989, and they ended up playing for many, many years through the early aughts. And then he gave up the music business, and he just moved to Estonia with his wife, and then this past week he had a heart attack. A lot of musicians came out and did their tweet farewells to Pete Shelley. For example, Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day wrote that Buzzcocks invented a style that would influence multiple generations of lonesome hearts and weirdos. Never shy about writing beautiful melodies into loud, fast punk. You are the harmony in my head. So a big farewell to the composer, the punk and pop songwriter Pete Shelley, who passed away at the age of 63 a couple of days ago. Well, that does it for our songs, our Saturday segue of songs in the news here from Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. Oh my God, it's 20-1 here in the Daverhood Mountain Time. That would put it almost 20-3 in the afternoon. So thank you to those of you who've been hanging with me, who've been watching the show. Of course, those of you who tune in later, if you missed part of the episode, wait a day, we'll post it. The video will be on Facebook on my page, Radio Dave Lefkowitz. And of course the video and the audio we'll put in some more music than we were able to play. That will all be at davesgoneby.com, my website, davesgoneby.com. That is where all the archives reside of every show we've done from the very first one right until this one, except a couple that we've lost over the years to technical difficulties. But hundreds are there. And there's even a separate archive of the wonderful people that we've interviewed over the years. So you can listen to the whole shows, or even if you're looking for a particular actor or actress, the amazing people. Everyone from Carl Reiner to Dick Cavett to Christine Lavin to Linda Lavin. I mean, just dozens and dozens of amazing folks who've been on Dave's Gone By. You can hear their interviews separately also in the archive at davesgoneby.com. Remember that my Twitter feed is Radio Dave 2. That's Radio Dave, the number 2. And Rabbi Sal Solomon has a Twitter feed too. It's at Rabbi Sal Solomon, at Rabbi Sal Solomon. His website is shalomdammit.com. And of course, we have to give a very, very big thank you one more time to our guest in the Daverhood today, Romola Hodas, the author of The Princess of 42nd Street, an absolute page-turner memoir of a book, and that she co-wrote, by the way, with Elizabeth Ridley. I don't know if it's an as told to or they worked on it together, but boy, it jumps off the page. And you can get it from, it's Riverdale Avenue Books, riverdaleavbooks.com, or you can certainly go to Amazon and find it there. It's Romola Hodas, Hodas. And we certainly wish her a better, her last 30 years, let's say, being much easier and lighter and more fun and better than her first 60. That is for sure. I want to thank my darling, adorable, and wonderful wife, Joyce, for joining me in the Daverhood for the first part of the program. I want to thank Papito for being a good sport and, for his traumatic events earlier involving the toilet cup. Well, the less said about that, the better. But what else can I say to you before I leave you for this week? Well, let me congratulate all the people who are graduating from UNC. So it's congratulations today, December 8th. They're all out there. The graduates were last night, the graduate students today, the undergrads who are finishing in mid-year, and they're getting the hell away from Greeley. Good for them. What else? And congratulations, by the way, to all the students here. This last week was finals week. Now the professors are finishing grading, and then it's goodbye, at least for some of us till January, and for me a bit longer than that. That is to be explained. But anyway, but hey, we made it through the fall semester. So a big round of applause, a big congratulations to everybody on that. Where's my applause button on this? Here we go. And again, a round of applause to all of you for joining me here in the Daverhood every Saturday from 9 until noon Mountain Time or thereabouts. Join us, we should be here next week, December 15th, with a brand new episode coming up. I think we have already set our next guests in the Daverhood. It should be another great one. I don't know why I am blanking. Wow. Oh, I did look up, just so you know, getting all this done before I turn the computer off and leave. But Stephen Merritt, he's the guy from Magnetic Fields, Stephen Merritt. But who is our upcoming guest in the Daverhood? Oh, yes, they're great. It's going to be fabulous. We have another tag team. Remember last week we had Tracy Newman and Lorraine Newman, the sisters? We have a married couple coming up probably this coming week, maybe the week after, but it's Bob Brader and Suzanne Bachner, and they are married. They're both playwrights. He's also an actor. She is, and they're also both artistic directors of what was formerly called the John Montgomery Theater Company, the JMTC is what they call it now. Here's the deal. In January, they're going to be doing some plays that they've written, and that he is performing 2 of them. And they're autobiographical, because we heard Romola Hodas' story today. She had a hell of a story. Theirs aren't too far behind. Bob Brader grew up with a father who was a Marine and was also really messed up and abusive, and turned out he was kind of a pedophile. Not with him, but stories about that. So he did a one-man show about it called Spitting in the Face of the Devil. Spitting in the Face of the Devil. He'll be doing that in repertory with another show that he wrote and appears in called Smoker, about his 29-year love affair with smoking, and what it meant to him and how hard it was for him to give it up. Meanwhile, they'll be doing that in rep with Suzanne Bachner's play called The Good Adoptee, which shows the bureaucracy that she went through to try and find her to find her birth parents. And she went through some stuff when she was a kid. So there's just so much childhood trauma on Dave's Gone By these days. I had a messed up childhood in some other ways, but I didn't have anything like the trauma that these people are dealing with. So it's kind of like, not better than me, but there but for the grace of you-know-who these days on Dave's Gone By. Perfect for the holidays, really. So I'm going to wish you a very happy holiday to everybody watching, Christmas coming up, Kwanzaa, and of course the last days of Hanukkah. I think Festivus is in January. Have to get my poll out, which would be appropriate, but anyway. Dave's Gone By. Thanks for watching. Remember to check the archives tomorrow, davesgoneby.com, for this episode in both video and audio, and for all our older episodes. Have a great week, and let's play one more song to come out of there, since we're finished, man. Since the semester's finished, since people are graduating. I know it's over. This is from The Smiths and Gone By.
Oh, mother, I can feel the soil falling over my head.
Well, have a fine week, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Send me your messages, send me your emails, and Gone By.